Hey, I'm Nate Flax.
I'm Noah Longworth McGuire.
And this is Talking Lion.
Talking Lion is a podcast focused on artist-to-artist conversation.
We're primarily artists, a duo called Sleeping Lion, but we've been lucky enough to write, produce, and hang out with so many incredible rising artists since we started our project.
Whether it's at sessions or parties or over cups of coffee, we've talked with our creative friends about everything. Music, life, love, and all the subtle complexities that come with being in the middle of a journey.
Talking Lion is about hitting record on these conversations and sharing them with you. There's no real structure, nothing really prepared, just friends talking about life and what it's been like and where it's going.
This is the start of Talking Lion's second season, and we recently launched a Patreon for fans of our show to help keep this going. Subscribers will become a part of the show in various ways, from providing questions to our guests, to getting a shout out on the show, to actually being on the show to chat with us. We'll even send you a mug.
We pledge to contribute at least half of whatever we raise on Patreon towards the podcast's expenses, as well as supporting artist communities through arts charities, grants, and by sponsoring local music events. So check out our Patreon at patreon.com/talkinglion.
We know there's a scary uncertainty in the country and the world right now. We urge everyone who's listening to stay inside and do your part to prevent the spread of coronavirus.
It's going to be a strange and difficult year for everyone, but we hope you can find pockets of peace and that our podcast can help make this time indoors better for you, even just for a few hours.
We recorded this episode with our friend Sad Alex.
I first met Sad Alex while at the movies with some mutual friends of hers, a few days before recording this episode.
Some context for this interview. We recorded this in the fall of 2019, a few weeks before her single All the Way Over came out. She had recently signed to Red Bull Records.
Also, immediately after recording this episode, Sad Alex showed us a demo of one of her upcoming songs called Stockholm's a Ghost Town, and we wound up doing some co-production on the song.
Sad Alex is a tenaciously hard worker and an incredible songwriter with songs that ring and resonate with a candid honesty.
So,
without further ado,
I'm Sad Alex, and you're listening to Talking Lion.
hello.
Hi.
We've only been talking for like the last, hour or so.
Yeah,
like,
no, we've warmed up.
We've warmed up. That's how it goes. Because
We're loose.
We're all sort of technically meeting today, though we technically met like 4 days ago.
I know, it was wild. What a universe serendipitous moment.
I think it's important for everybody to know that our first impression was that you dropped a beer on my friend's shoe at a movie theater.
Let me. All right, is that your angle? That's what you
no,
think
no.
happened?
You dropped the beer, or you slapped it out of her hand, or something.
Whoa.
And then, or she slapped out yours. All right. Oh, hold on. This is my perspective on it.
Wow, this is such a
okay.
two
Sorry,
sides to every story.
are we starting controversially? I'm sorry.
No, please tell me how
the beer falls.
Sure. Yeah.
I grab a napkin. We're both cleaning up the floor. Like we're both on the floor cleaning up the beer. I'm like, "Are you Sad Alex?" And you're like, "I'm Sleeping Lion. We're gonna see each other in 3 days."
It was a beautiful moment cleaning up shitty beer together. However, I will tell you that is absolutely not how that moment went down.
Oh my God! We're already getting hoodwinked.
I was standing with my friend Nico with our beers, and I saw this blonde chick that I recognized, and I couldn't remember exactly how I knew her. And we both were looking at each other like, how do we know each other? And then she kind of did that like, oh, throwing her hands up like, I know you from this. And when she threw her hands up, she knocked my beer out of my hand, and then it went on the ground. But then and it was so funny because it happened right in front of like the place where you buy the beers. And so she was like, hey guys, like, you just saw me. I just knocked over a full beer. Like, would you mind replacing it? It was a fucking Stella. Do you understand that a Stella probably cost that place like maybe fucking $2 wholesale? And that's probably an overestimate on that. Like probably less than that, probably like $1. And they were like, we could give you a cup. And we were like,
and we'll get it from the floor. Yeah.
And we're literally wiping up beer on the floor. And she was like, that's fine. I'm just going to buy her a new beer. And I was like, yo, I feel bad. You don't have to buy me a beer. She's like, no, I'm going to buy you a beer. I just knocked it over. And that is what fucking happened.
What's funny is I saw Eden
this was Eden.
This was Eden, yeah.
Okay.
So I saw Eden like lock eyes with you. I was like 70% sure it was you, but we never met like in person. So I pulled out my phone to check your Instagram.
Love that cross reference.
Just trying to make like check the sources. Make sure that the face matched the face.
Dude, I do that all the time.
So I guess I missed the actual interaction because then I just heard the beer on the floor.
Oh, so you missed it. So you made this really fucking false, aggressive story of me as a crazy bitch knocking, slapping beers out of people's hands.
You know. I may or may not have jumped to conclusions.
You really did.
That's why I'm not a cop.
And that's how you
should not be a cop.
That's how you subconsciously see me.
I'm sorry. I always want to meet people because they have some sort of clumsy faux pas. Like, I think that that's a really good way of just sort of breaking the ice with anybody.
I'm actually pretty clumsy. I was bartending once. Well, it's weird. I'm actually a good bartender, and I am very good with high volume. I can open like 12 beers at once and all that stuff. I can make a bunch of drinks in a row. But sometimes, especially this particular shift, I was drinking, which does impact your cleanliness and your ability to not be clumsy.
You don't say.
Yeah, it's wild. It affects your motor skills. It's a crazy thing. I was making a drink, and this girl was sitting here. Luckily, she was a regular. She works down the street. And I had a full tin of margarita. And when I had the tin of margarita. I went to pour another drink, which was like a vodka soda or something. And when I lifted the bottle, it knocked the tin and it went right in her face. Like the whole margarita, tequila, everything in her eyes, straight to the eyeball.
God.
And she immediately covers her eyes. She runs to the bathroom. I follow her because I was like, holy shit, I just fucked this girl's shit up. And I go in there, we're rinsing her eye in the sink. And luckily, had it been a normal person, that's a pretty heavy Yelp review.
Yeah.
But she is a regular. And I was like, yo, I'm so sorry.
Oh my
I got the
God.
rest of your drinks tonight. Like, you don't pay for anything. It's fine. And she was obviously a little bit like flustered, but she was like, dude, it's fine. Like, it happened. She's a bartender too. Shit fucking happens. It's a nightmare. But yeah, I'm a clumsy bitch sometimes.
So I wasn't completely off the money.
No, you weren't.
Well, I mean,
so maybe my reaction actually to that being so,
Yeah, so
me being so
defensive. Maybe
defensive
it's-
is actually
maybe-
me knowing that my truth is that.
maybe you were just projecting your fears, onto my assumptions.
That's so real though, because I think anytime you react to something with anger or defense or whatever, it's usually rooted in like, you need to figure out why did that upset me like that. It's probably rooted in something that I am not fully worked through in my own shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I've been going through this across the board. Like, I've been trying to figure out, like, there are certain writers that I love that I've worked with, but for whatever reason, they make me feel, sometimes in the session, I feel small or I feel uncomfortable or there's a weird energy in the room. And I know it has nothing to do with them, but it has to do with my reaction to them. And so I've actually kind of, not forever, but like I've sort of distanced myself from a couple people just to figure out, I'm like, okay, why? I love writing with them and I love the stuff that we make together, but I have to figure out why sometimes the process feels a little bit gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
I think
You
the last
know?
couple of months I've been really like face to face, like brushing with and pushing up against my like insecurities that I didn't
Yeah.
even know I necessarily had. Like between like friendships, my family, like relationships, like everything. There's been something like that accidentally and specifically just like gets underneath all the armor and just like pokes like the pressure point, and I react so strongly and so viscerally, and then like when the dust settles, I'm like, why did I do
No,
that?
how old are you?
23.
Oh my God, you're a baby. You're a baby.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh
No, you're a good, but you're actually like, I
Yeah,
actually
no,
thought you were much
that's the thing.
older.
I've never like. It wasn't until I just started seeing a sort of pattern of insecurity that I became just so aware of how 23 I am, because I feel like I've always had to act older.
Wow,
No,
you guys are about to grow so much.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that. I just kind of hate it. Like, I think that like it never really occurred to me how grotesque and messy this growing up thing is gonna be until
Yes.
like the last couple of months, where I've just like without even meaning to, genuinely hurt people by how like my insecurities
how it
are
goes.
being
Dude,
sort
well,
of
the
like
fact that you are
triggered
aware
and
of this
stuff.
at 23, fucking props, especially a 23-year-old male. Holy shit.
Sure, but being
You're
aware-
ahead of some 30-year-olds that I know.
Being aware
35-year-olds.
doesn't necessarily mean that it goes away, which I wish it did.
No, but that's
how
the
cool
first
would
step.
that be?
That's the first step, though, dude. I'm still in very much of like, I am trying to be so aware of like when I say something that like, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. In the same sense that I was saying, I just try, my goal in life, in my, whether it's in my music, professionally, with my friendships, with my relationships, I just want to be real all the time. It's such a simple concept, but I catch myself breaking it. Like even the other night, I caught myself, because we all do this. I was at a party actually with Nico, and we're at a party and we're just having fun. It was a Halloween thing. And I was talking to this girl who's a friend of mine. And then realistically, I can't remember why it was just me. And then I went back over to Nico, and he was like, asked who that was, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's my friend. She's an A&R at Capitol. And when I said that, it's such a little thing. But then he called me out for it. He was like, I don't care. That doesn't make me
Yeah.
want to talk to her
Yeah.
anymore. And I was just like, in my head, I was like, wow, I hated that I just did that. Like I hated that I hate that side of anybody because I hate it when it's done to me. And so when I catch myself doing something like that, which I didn't intend to be a weird flex to Nico, but like it was said and I completely understood how it felt from his perspective because I didn't introduce them. I was over there talking to her and then I came over to them. So I'm really trying to work on that. And that goes across the board for like everything, whether it has to do with music or not. But like, I just want to be real, you know?
Well, and that's like a friend of mine picked me up from the airport, like a really good friend of mine who I've known for a while. And
Right.
We were driving and she was just playing like her iPod and like every like other, her iPod.
Her
Yeah,
iPod?
It was 2005.
It's 2005. You have your iPod shuffle.
She was
Going
shuffling-
through the
she was
click
shuffling
wheel.
through her
You're
iPod,
listening
yeah.
to Toxic by
Dude,
Britney Spears.
I miss my iPod.
No, I did too.
Do you remember that little thing that you had to put on to like, connect to the FM like radio? Did you have that attachment?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah,
I forget what it was called.
It was like a cassette tape that you had to slide.
Oh, no,
yeah.
this one was like a wireless one. You would put it on through the aux cord.
Oh, and then you had to set the.
You had to set the fucking FM. It was terrible. It
It's so
compromised.
terrible.
Like you could hear like it was like.
Oh, it was.
Like, oh my
Nothing but
God.
It was
so
heartbreaking,
bad.
but also when you found like a really quiet station, it was like a commodity.
Everyone would just sit still and you're like holding it. You're like,
No, I found like forums. I found forums like clean channels in California.
clean channels in
Like
California.
we're talking
Wow.
we're talking like 2018 or like 2017. Like
Wow.
you know. And anyway,
Yeah, back to your
we
thing
were driving
with the
and
iPod.
every other song that she would play, I would have some sort of kind of like connection to it. I'd be like, oh yeah, that's like my friend manages that band, or like, oh, my friend wrote like a song for them, or like whatever. And like at a certain point, she was just like, she got very kind of quiet, and she's like, I'm very impressed with like what you're doing in Los Angeles. Like I'm already impressed. Like you don't have to like do all that.
Yes.
I'm like,
And it happens.
yeah, I feel like I constantly have to like prove my worth, you know, and prove that like I'm not like that I'm not just like a schmuck who's wasting everybody's time. But sometimes I like overcompensate for that so strongly, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I even did it like at the movies because I did have. We were talking about that movie, Lady Bird.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the girl, and I was like, "Oh, I have a friend in Lady Bird," which I do. But then at that moment, I forgot her name because I have like a problem with names. Like it takes me like
Yeah.
10 times. So I was like, "I have a friend in Lady Bird. I can't remember her name. She's a friend of a friend." And the more I talked, I was like, "Damn, I sound like I'm fucking spiraling right now."
I didn't know you well enough to just like take the piss out of it and be like, oh, good friend, yeah.
Right. No. And the thing is, her name is Mari, and it hit me. I was walking. I was like, God damn, I really blanked on her name, and I don't know why. Because I went to fucking Mexico with that girl for like a
Yeah.
whole weekend, and like we walked on the beach together, like this whole thing. Like we were friends, but my brain is very sabotaging in moments like that. I'd be like, you know that name you need? I'm gonna take it away
I'm
from
gonna
you
take it
right
away
now.
from you. I forgot my zip code last night at school night.
Oh my
He was
God.
just like, you're from Massachusetts? I'm like, I studied there. He's just like, what's the zip code? And I'm like, oh, fuck, 02015. I was like one number off, and he was like this like stern like Ukrainian man like staring
but
at me
he's
like.
so angry.
But he's the only person I've ever seen in Los Angeles who will quiz you on like where you were.
He's like customs. He's just like, wait, like what does your?
No,
he was like, what does your?
I've had easier time in customs.
Yeah, I've had way easier times in customs. This guy's just like, what's your family? What does your family do for like not really, but he's just like.
He's like,
You guys think you have trouble in customs? I'm Arabic, man.
oh shit.
That shit gets real lit.
Oh, that okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll definitely where.
I'm Palestinian.
Oh shit. And I'll do it.
And that's actually, I think that's, if we want to, like, regards to my artist stuff, like, the funny thing is, and I don't know if you guys know this, because Sad Alex, my last name is Saad, which is why the Sad Alex thing was, like, the whole motion, and everyone just thinks I arbitrarily chose Sad Alex to ride this emo wave, which, you know, maybe that helps. But, like, genuinely, this is more of a, trying to be a more, you know, encompassing thing with my heritage and the reality of the stuff that I write and my sarcasm and all of these things that I want the word sad to encompass. And actually one of the ideas that my friend Justin, who's doing a lot of the content and kind of marketing idea stuff, it's like reclaiming the word sad.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like making it, because there's a lot of meanings to the word sad. And for me, it definitely means a lot of things. Sad is actually the very improper pronunciation of my last name, but for my whole life, everyone's pronounced it that way. The amount, like anytime, if I'm at a doctor's office, if I'm, you know, getting called to go in wherever, it's always Miss Sad, Miss Sad. Even if I'm like, they're like, what's the name? I'm like, Alex Saad. They're like, okay, Miss Sad, right this way. I'm like, okay.
does that kind of weigh on you, just being referred to as sad all the time? Is that,
Honestly, now I mean, I'm cool with it because it works. And I was thinking about when I was rebranding, I was like, do I go SAAD for the name, the artist name? But I decided one of the many flaws in the old artist project was it was called Alexa, but it was spelled Alxxa. So if I played a show, I'd be like, hey, thanks so much. My name's Alexa, but that's Alxxa, no E. And, fucking, it's really hard to find. I might have to help you find it on Instagram because it never comes up. And so, like, I wanted to avoid that. I was like, now I just want to be like, thank you. My name's Sad Alex. Good night.
Good night.
And, like, then they can look at it and it's there and it's exactly how they would imagine spelling it.
Well, and that's like when we were in Boston, we had friends starting projects, and they'd be like, "Yeah, it's like this, but we took out this vowel and that vowel, whatever." I'm just like, if you have to explain that on stage, like it's all
so
going to
hard.
fuck. Yeah, like it's not gonna.
I mean, granted, there's so many exceptions to that rule.
Of course. I mean,
there's,
of course.
Who was like I feel like you know what I'm talking about. There's artists like that, and they've made it work.
Well, of course.
Know.
I mean, we've had Friend on the show, which is FRND. You know? And like Moons has like the two Z's and so. I mean, there are ways to do it, but also these are artists who like established themselves in other places or like had their careers in a visual landscape before they had it necessarily in like a live landscape.
Right.
Like for our friends who wanted to like just play shows to try to get an audience, it's a lot harder. I think there are people who do commit to like, okay, like here's what it's going to be, here's how we put it out online, that's whatever, and then they focus on that. I guess we started like thinking like that was going to be, but we knew that we were going to be playing live and that would be how we would be getting people.
When's the last time you guys played live, or what's your...
About a month ago.
What is your live setup?
Well, so the last one we played was probably...
Yeah, it was probably the Peppermint Show.
The Peppermint Show.
Yeah.
Peppermint Club?
Yeah,
Cool.
we opened for our friend Salem. Our live setup is that I play an SPD,
Great.
like a sub bass with my other hand on a keyboard, and
savvy.
and I sing, and then he plays piano and
I got
guitar
my
and
big,
sings.
my big piano.
But I think we're gonna try to revamp it a little bit, starting next year.
I'm in a very much revamp stage of my band as well.
Well, and that's what I want is like, because we definitely have songs that lean into ballad territory. I would love to be able to like have a set that's dynamic where you can have like the quiet stuff and then sort of move into, I mean, like you got Ruin It, like going into like New Heartbreak or something like that,
right.
Like having that be a way to sort of structure your set so that you're not compromising. I want a set that like at its best feels like a John Bellion show, and at its like quietest like feels like Bon Iver.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. That's the goal for me as well. It's for pretty much, arguably the goal for everybody.
Of course, yeah.
And right now, the reality being the quickest and dirtiest and the easiest way to start running your tracks is to just have the individual kind of whatever worked out instrumentals that are giving you the shit that you press play and you play along to it. And yeah, it's entirely a lot of times uninspiring to play with the track. And I've been battling that for a long time because it's hard to do it in a way that you feel like you're doing something really innovative when you feel like you're doing this kind of souped up karaoke thing. That being said, so right now I had a band that was great, especially in like the way that we were working. It was individual tracks, so you had to queue up each individual one, which I want to break out at that format. But in the sense of what we were doing, it actually was starting to run pretty well. One thing I don't recommend, don't date your band, because then when things don't work out, then the band also disbands. The band disbands.
The band disbands.
The band disbands.
The band disbands for...
Also, don't date someone that his brother is playing drums, because then literally the entire band disbands.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously bros before hoes.
Yeah, literal bros.
Literal bro before.
The band disbands despite your plans
I know. Oh, man.
of finding a man,
Yes. It wasn't part of the plan.
and it wasn't grand.
Just buried in the sand. But that was actually really sad.
Is that songwriting? Did we just songwrite it?
let's finish that after this.
Yeah.
We'll put it to something called Buried in the Sand.
It's called Buried in the Sand.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, an ostrich is in the music video. It's just an ostrich, just like
yeah,
walking
with the
around.
arts is an ostrich with his head in the ground. I like that, actually. That's
And
nice.
we get a little ostrich band, but then the B story is that like the ostrich like dates the other ostrich, and then
That's meta.
yeah, and then
So meta.
yeah,
I love that, though.
yeah.
We're going to develop this.
I think we're gonna develop.
I like
this.
that. There's a lot of animation stuff we could do with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I won't go too into relationship stuff. It was actually a very nice relationship. He's a very nice person, but and I was told when I went into it, people were like, "Do not date your guitarist," and I was like, "But I want to." And then
He plays guitar. Did you see that? Yeah.
and there's really nice parts of it. I mean, to be like that song "Disarm Me" that's on one of the demo things, which is a project that we're still planning on continuing this year, which is just kind of another way for me, that demo thing of just kind of shitting out a few demos. I've gotten a lot of shit for doing that, because you're basically putting out songs without any PR or marketing or plan behind it, and people are just like, wow, you're literally just like sacrificing these songs to the gods. I'm like, well, I'd rather sacrifice the songs to the gods than have them die on my computer, because that's what's happening to them.
And I think for me, like one of the songs that first sort of like got me like into your music was like Ruin It.
Oh, I'm glad you
because
like
of
that
how it moves and sort of meanders and stuff. We've been toying around with putting out a record of all the stuff that we weren't able to finish over the course of like
It feels really good.
Like that we started 3 years ago. That meant a lot to us then, but that we wouldn't want to necessarily devote the time to like finishing and making what it is, because it wouldn't make sense.
Exactly.
You know, but we still would want people to hear it because they could have a connection to that.
Because those songs that I put out, I don't want to try to produce them out. They arguably shouldn't be produced out.
Yeah.
And they are not pitchable. They're not top 40 necessarily. I mean, that's I don't like using that word because who really knows what top 40 is. But
I mean,
like,
now it's you know,
it's fucking
Louis Capaldi and
it's a shit show. But like, I put them out because I know the way I've been working, however, the last 6 years professionally, like I'm always going to be in love with my new stuff. And these songs have their moment right now, and I connect to them and they mean something real to me now. They're not going to be as real for me 3 years from now. And I want to put them out, but I recognize that they're not the most digestible, quote unquote, single in the world. And so if I can just start developing this project that might down the line, if I continue doing it and people fuck with it, like you connected with a song from it, and if people start to know, oh, she has this weird, she just like randomly, without warning, puts out a few demos, that might actually help the songs take off eventually. You just kind of have to stay consistent with it.
Well, and the fact that it's called Songs You'll Probably Never Hear.
Right.
And then like the cover art is the desktop icon.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean,
Tripping.
that
cool.
says everything you kind of need to know, you know, about what it is.
That song Disarm Me was actually written, I was over at his place and he was playing a guitar thing that I liked. And I said, oh, I really like that. Will you record it for me? And we sat on his bed with his iPhone. You can hear us laughing in the background. You can hear all of that in the original recording of it. I literally just took the iPhone MP4 and put it into Logic. I did like one little, there's no click, there was no like
Well,
anything.
if you don't sample your ex, what are you doing?
Wow, right? Like everyone needs, I mean, Lito does it too. Like we got to sample our exes, people.
Yeah.
But that song was really beautiful. And I actually wrote it about, I mean, it was about our relationship, and that song is obviously very personal because of that. And it was kind of awkward when we were planning to put that out, and we were having to make sure all the publishing was set up. And I was like, all right, Rob, you can reach out to him because he blocked me. So like, you're going to have to handle this communication. But I mean, it's all, I think we will eventually get to a good place. Like, I think we have very much a mutual respect for each other. He just needed to take his time on his own.
So where were you born?
I was born in San Antonio, Texas.
Ooh.
Which is cool. I actually fuck with San Antonio. I climbed a lot of trees there.
Nice.
Between the ages of 0 and 10. We had this really dope tree.
Did you break your arm?
No, I've actually never, besides I think I've broken some toes from point shoe stuff, but toes don't count. I mean, that's fucking,
Toes are
Wait,
cheap.
sorry,
Child's
can we-
play.
Back up. Like, did you do ballet?
I was a pretty serious ballerina.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
I used to be pretty, not like, I was president of my dance company in college. I like did it for, I danced from age like 3 till probably age 22, 23.
Whoa.
And then I dealt with knee problems from like starting at like 12. I was dislocating my knee all the time. And then I ended up blowing it out really badly in Nashville on a run. Oh my God, it was so bad. I literally just got the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. And I had to get a surgery, or they told me I had to get a surgery, which I think I arguably did need to get it. It was a weird thing because I don't know if you've ever like dislocated your knee
We've
before.
never been physically active ever in our life. Yeah.
We've never moved.
We've never moved. We are on this couch all the time.
When you dislocate your knee basically like pops out of its socket, obviously, and then most of the time it pops back in. Sometimes I had one dislocation where it didn't pop back in, and someone had to pop it back in for me, which is not pleasant. I don't recommend that. But the more you dislocate your knee, the easier it can happen because your ligaments are loosening up every time, stretching. And you bounce back quicker. Like you can dislocate your knee and be pretty much good to go 2 weeks later. But you have increased your susceptibility to do it again, which is part of the problem. And so at that last big blowout, I remember I actually, bounced back and I started working out really hard. My goal was to get my lower body as strong as I could to try to help preserve my knee. And actually, I was doing really well. I was working with this personal trainer. I was fucking fit. I looked dope. And then I went back home to Delaware, and I was meeting with this surgeon. And he's a very good surgeon in Delaware. And he was like, he saw how well I was doing. He was like, hey, like, I mean, I don't want to make you do a surgery if you're doing this well. Let me get an MRI and see what's going on. And he got an MRI, and I remember he came into the room, and he was like, I don't want to, convince you to do anything you don't want to do. But I'll be honest, this is probably like the worst MRI I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
He was like, you don't even have any ligaments really like intact properly left in your leg.
Just floating out.
Just floating around, like, because your groove for your knee is probably like this, and your kneecap looks like this, and it sits there firmly. They can't see any of this. Oh, I know. Let me explain. I can't explain this. Basically, okay, this is for you guys. Fuck the listeners here. So
that's for you listeners. Fuck y'all.
Fuck you. No, I love you. But you have like a proper groove that your kneecap sits in, and your kneecap is a normal size. My groove doesn't really exist. It's more like a flat surface, and my kneecap is like smaller and deformed than yours, and so it just slides around. Whoa. And it has no basis to stay in place. Also, your legs are probably straight. My legs are a little bit crooked this way, so it makes that force on the kneecap actually makes it want to go that way even more. So one surgeon actually wanted to take off the bottom. That
sounds objectively not fun.
No, it was not. It was not fun. There was one surgeon who was fucking psycho. He wanted to basically disconnect this part of my leg, the bottom half, move it over straight, reconnect it. I wouldn't have been able to put weight on my leg for a year. The one in Delaware was not psycho. And he did convince me I got a surgery. But the day before the surgery, I was doing this like heavy leg day at the gym. Like I was trying to make sure I could bounce back from the surgery as quickly as possible. Surgery went seemingly well. He basically took a cadaver ligament to put on my MCL reconstruction and kind of make it all.
Wait, what?
MCL is the inside ligament.
I'm getting hung up on the cadaver part.
Took it from a dead person.
It's actually, I think it was a dead pig.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't a pig. I had a human one. I got a dead person's ligament in my leg. Dead guy.
They weren't using it.
I think he was a good guy. I think he was really powerful.
You think he ran a lot?
I think he was very fit. Yeah, fit dead dude. So I got this thing. Well, granted, it didn't work that well for me. The ligament actually is doing fine, but what happened was the screw that he put in my kneecap, because it was smaller than most kneecaps, eventually, there's a lot of, this is becoming such a longer story than I meant it to be, which is the story of my life. But when I was cleared to do whatever I wanted, I actually had a pretty poor, at the time, my relationship with working out and my body and eating and stuff wasn't very healthy to begin with. So that was the root of the problem. I blame myself for that, because the second I was cleared to work out again, I went in way harder than any recovering knee surgery person should. I was working out twice a day, CrossFit style workouts, a lot heavier weights, lots of, jump squats and all these things, doing stuff that he probably cleared me to start working out like a normal person. And I started working out like a fucking Olympian. I was riding my bike everywhere, and I just had a bad relationship with all of that. And one day I was doing a box jump and something happened. And long story short, I had cracked my kneecap in half because the screw had not healed very well. Ooh. And it had weakened the kneecap, and it kind of cracked like a walnut. Whoa. So it was holding on by like a thread. And I called the surgeon.
You brought a walnut to demonstrate.
There's a walnut
in. She just pulled a walnut out from
I just know the conversation always goes to the cracked walnut. I always have to be prepared. But it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, ultimately, because at the time
You were 22?
I was 24 when that happened, I believe. I think. 24 when I broke it. Or yes, I'm 90% sure I was 24. But at the time, I was bartending at this place in Nashville, way more than you can properly focus on your creative endeavors. I was kind of addicted to bartending because it was a lot of money. I was making probably $80,000 a year bartending at this place in Nashville.
Holy shit.
And
golden handcuffs, that's what they call it, right?
Yeah, it's really, and you're working you're an indentured servant. You're working during CMA Fest, I'd be there from 9 a.m. till 2 a.m. No break. It's the most absurd thing. So when I broke my leg, I couldn't bartend as much. I couldn't go out. I was constantly drinking alcohol. I had Fireball in my system at all times. And so when I broke my leg, granted, I did still drink a lot of wine when I broke my leg, but I really had to. It was a major check for me because I was locked in my apartment. It was a dark time. I won't say that it was a very happy time, but it was the first stage of my emotional growth, in that I was like, okay, my lifestyle has not been conducive. I don't like my music. I don't like what I've been writing. I'm not good at what I do right now. Why is that? And then I really had to start figuring out the answer to that. Started producing my own stuff, started writing in a more intentional way, and taking it a little bit more. I was taking it seriously, but in retrospect, I really wasn't, you know? And then once I was healed enough, and that's a whole separate story that I won't go into how I healed myself. But once I was clear, because it was
Short version,
they thought I was going to have to get this psycho leg surgery. I would have had a 12-inch incision down my leg, and they were going to fill my kneecap with bone splooge from my hip and wrap it in wire. It was the scariest.
Was that the technical term?
Bone splooge. That's what the medical journals call it. Bone splooge.
Yeah, you look at it, it's like bone jizz.
Bone jizz. And I would have had incisions here. I would have had there, and now they're telling me that surgery wouldn't have even worked. So I actually did. Shout out HGH. I got some illegal HGH. Shot that shit up. 12 weeks.
What's
Human
HGH?
Growth hormone, man.
Whoa.
Cell regeneration. It's the future.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So you like Wolverine that shit.
I Wolverined. I did. That was a also questionably dark time. I bought it from outside a tattoo shop, and I hope my dad listens to this. I bought this from out. It was a friend of mine. He was
you competed in the
bodybuilder.
Olympics very briefly, and then
Well, my friend who's a bodybuilder who worked at because I still was bartending a little bit, because you were allowed to put weight on my leg. I was bartending in a brace from my hip to my ankle, and couldn't bend my leg at all. So I was basically like a peg leg, just limping around the bar. And my friend, he was a bodybuilder, and he was like, hey, I hate to see you. Because I was crying constantly. I would like be in the liquor closet crying, because I was looking at this knee surgery was going to be brutal. I would have been off my leg probably for 6 months until I could have put weight on it. It would have been a whole thing. And also it was just the incision. I've seen those knees. Have you ever seen that scar on a knee when it's down the middle and it's this big, long... Your knee never looks the same. And as shallow as it sounds, I knew, I was like, I like my legs right now. I don't want this bulby, fucking scarred up knee like that. Like, I can handle the little scars that I have, but this would have been a whole thing.
yeah.
And he was like, I hate seeing you like this. I have something, I have a way for you to get something that might help, but I want you to do your own research and see if it's something you're interested in. And he kind of showed me what growth hormone was. It's usually used by... most celebrities, the reason Brad Pitt looks like he's fucking 40, more than likely the guy's on growth hormone, along with all of these like celebrities that look like they're fucking beautiful fountain of youth kind of shit. Growth hormone's the future.
Whoa.
And it's not illegal, and like you can get it in Canada, you can get it in Asian countries, whatever. But here it's a highly controlled substance here, almost at the point of heroin, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yes. But I got that shit from outside a tattoo shop. And I remember that day so vividly, because you basically get it in these little vials and you have to mix it with backstat water, like bacteriostatic water, whatever. And it's very precise, and you mix it and you kind of mix it up in this thing, and that lasts 10 days. You keep it in the fridge, and you have to get the little, 30 millimeter, diabetes needles, basically. And you do between two...
If you fuck it up, do you become the Hulk?
No, but you can have too much cell regeneration is bad, and to do it all the time, you want to use basically like 6-week kits of it, and you do like 5 days on, 2 days off, and it's a very particular, like, I think I was doing 2 IUs a day, 5 days on, 2 days off. That was like the measurement of whatever I was using. And if you go overboard, like the bodybuilders that are doing 6 IUs a day and never take any breaks, then like that's when you see like their forehead bone like grew too much, or like whatever it was. Like that shit can happen, or your joints become, your bones are too big for your joints, and you can give yourself fucking weird bone diseases. Whoa. But if you're smart about it, and it's not that hard to be smart about it. It was very scary though that day when because basically you put it into your fat cells. So you can do your ass, you can do your leg. I chose to do my stomach. You squeeze this fat on your stomach, you stick the needle in, and you press it in, and then you kind of spread the mixture into your body. And the first day I did it, I remember I texted one of my friends. I was like, I'm really scared. I have no idea realistically what this is. This could be rat poison. I don't know what the fuck. I got this from China. I don't know what I'm putting in my body. And it was the dark time, because he was like, suck it up and do it. And I was like, okay. And I did it, and I put it in, and I sat there. I did not tell, like, if I told my dad that I did that, he's a doctor, he would have fucking lost his mind. And I just sat there for 20 minutes waiting. I'm like, okay, if this was rat poison, I probably would be, something bad would be happening by now. And I kind of just sat there. I was kind of ready. I think I had someone that I could call if I was like, I need to go to the hospital, like whatever. And it was fine. And that shit, oh my God, dude, that shit's a miracle. You burn fat, your skin clears up, you're hungry all the time, you're horny all the time, you sleep better, you recover better, you have energy. I had a fucking the closest to a 6-pack I've ever had in my life. I felt incredible. And then when I'll show you maybe after this, like the difference in the knee x-rays. It did exactly. Granted, I can't assume causation with this kind of stuff. Like it's all just correlation really, which is fine. But like for me, I also, at that point when I was on that, I didn't drink at all. My diet was like fucking flawless. I was doing all the vitamin supplements I needed to do. And that shit grew my bone cells back, man. And they canceled the surgery. I went to see the doctor a week before I was supposed to get that surgery. He looked at the x-ray and he canceled it. And I was crying. I was sobbing, crying. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at my face. Like, this is easily this is one of the most fascinating things I've heard on the podcast.
That definitely felt like a superhero origin
Holy
story.
shit.
It was wild. I'll show you the pictures of the x-rays. It's pretty compelling. I mean, I can't assume, there was probably several reasons for why it happened, but even I've showed my dad, what I've learned a lot about the medical community, and I was technically sort of quote unquote pre-med when I was at Loyola because I was studying physics and that was kind of my plan. Like I respect medicine a lot. My dad's an excellent nephrologist in Delaware, kidney doctor, nephrologist. I respect medicine a lot, but I learned a lot about the amount of I saw so many different surgeons during that time of my life. Each one of them told me a different thing. And that was when I really connected, like your childlike understanding of a doctor is that they know the right answer. That what they say is the truth through and through, and you should trust them, and that's it. And this, not so much, I do have now a varying trust of medical stuff from a distance, just because there's nothing wrong with it, but all a surgeon or a doctor is doing is making an objective choice or prediction based off of the things that they're seeing that they're comparing to whether it's a textbook or their residency or whatever it is that they're taking that experience from. And for me, especially with this surgery, I recognized that my problem was so unique. No one knew what the solution was. They were just like, I think this surgery, the bone splooge thing should work. Like,
it's like I think, and I'm bumping into this with my stomach stuff. Like,
yeah.
I realize that the doctors are like restaurants. Like when you're younger, you just assume you'll go in, you'll have a great meal, like, and it won't give you food poisoning.
Right.
But that's not necessarily the case. Like there are codes, there are instructions, there are ways to do it. But like, I went into a doctor who, it was like an hour and a half long wait time. I was clearly seeing somebody who had like a high volume. So by the time he saw me, he really only had 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, and he didn't have time to like figure out like what the hell was happening. He didn't have time to like even look at how like maybe some of the details of the tests might be able to.
That's what I'm
so he's
saying,
like,
dude.
You're fine. And he goes, and now it's been like 5 months of me having problems and not being able to like necessarily deal with it. You know, everybody's got to follow their code and everything like that. But
that's what they did for this surgery. They did, the doctor in Delaware objectively did the right surgery for most knees, for most anatomies, for like on 90% of the knees that he does this surgery on, it works. However, I do not have a 90% knee. Like I have a very different knee structurally, but not like, I wish that from a surgical standpoint or anything, surgical, whatever, I wish there was a little bit more focus on the individual circumstances.
I wish they could be more surgical about it.
Be more surgical about it, and just like maybe take some more fucking measurements. Know what size my knee is, and understand how much force that little tiny deformed guy can hold, and maybe understand. Oh, maybe I need to use a smaller screw here because her knee is smaller. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a surgeon, but that would have been my guess.
Well, what is crazy about this story is, and if I'm getting this straight, you're in Nashville. We're gonna do the ballerina thing.
I was never gonna do the ballerina.
Okay, you were but you were.
I was a very serious amateur. It was a very big part of my life. And when I was in high school, I was dancing probably 20 hours a week. On the weekends, I'd be preparing for some sort of show. It was a very big part of that was a bigger creative outlet for me than music was. Music was a much more backseat when I was in high school and middle school.
Did you move to Nashville for music?
Yes, but
Okay.
that was almost unexpected. I remember my friends in college, I would do music. It was a very private, sacred thing for me. Like my first co-write was in Nashville when I was 22. Like other than that, I was writing by myself in a room. It was a very therapeutic thing. And I actually recently, I've missed that side of my writing, which I arguably can never get back because it's like I know too much now. The curtain's been lifted. I will always be thinking too structurally, too over analyzing of songwriting now. However, that being said, my songs were hot trash then. So like, Well, that's harsh.
They're beautiful tracks.
I think learning technique, at least, you know, and this is my own experience of it, is like learning technique, like gives you the tools so that when you do need the therapy, it isn't like flaming pile of trash, or at least you know where you're going off. Like you know, there are times where I'm like sitting down and I'm writing a song, then there are times where I'm like, I need to write about this thing because I'm feeling it right now.
Right.
And I don't care if it goes anywhere, but at least like the internal rhymes are tight.
Yeah. And I think I have been trying to figure out how can I access that reason that I fell in love with songwriting when I started doing it when I was 12 and I didn't really know what I was doing. How can I get that more innocent sort of emoting experience back from songwriting, which I still have. My songs are very much based off of personal emotions.
Well, and a song like Ruin It, like I love.
Yeah, Ruin It was a pretty free-flowing thing.
And I love how that moves. I mean, that song just like.
Your lips are mine. I don't know what this is, but I don't want to ruin it. Yeah. I just know that I don't want to ruin it. Yeah.
But even also like New Heartbreak, like that.
Thank you.
That song starts somewhere, and then by the time it hits the chorus, like I don't know, it sells what it's trying to say.
Lights down, camera action. Here's my next distraction. After all the dumb mistakes that I've made, I'm ready for a new heartbreak.
Thank you.
That felt very relevant to me and very therapeutic. Yeah.
Good, but that's all I want. You know, that's the goal right now. Like I think my definition of, and I've said this so many times, but like, well, not to you guys, but in life, my definition of success has changed a lot for what I want my artist stuff to be, and that's been, you know, me taking a long time to answer what the question of what kind of artist am I. That took me up until this year to answer, and some people answer that question very quickly, and fucking kudos to them, you know. But for me, it took a lot of trial and error and taking breaks and breaking my leg and doing all those things, and then now I've gotten closer to answering that question. And now it used to be, it's like, okay, well, I either play arenas or I die. And those are the only options, you know?
Well, the origin story, I love origin stories. Like, you know, Bon Iver goes off to a cabin in the woods in Wisconsin.
Fucking writes Holocene.
Yeah, right? Right? No, but writes From a Forever Ago.
Yes.
You dig a human growth hormone. You got
into Sad Alex.
And turn, you know,
Well,
and
that's not entirely true. I turned into Alexa.
Alexa, yeah.
Okay, that was
but
the first iteration.
Another trial and error.
But
There was highs of Alexa, though. There were some good moments.
I think that's insanely fascinating. Like, I think it's really, like, I don't know. I think the lowest points of everybody's life and the way that it winds up defining who you wind up becoming.
It was a low, oh my God. I can't express to you how depressed I was. Oh my God.
And you thought you were going to die. I mean, that's a crazy thing to fucking
Well,
think.
the scary
like,
thing is now they've told me that surgery that they wanted to do more than likely actually would have backfired, and potentially my knee could have shattered into like fucking 100 pieces. That's what I'm just like, all right, I love you guys, but I'm not going to trust you now. Because another thing is, like, I went into the physical therapy, Stacy at the Curlin and Job it's all the way in like West LA. She was the best physical therapist I've ever worked with, and she really brought me back from like, it took me a full 2 years to even get my mobility back. And I was basically learning how to use this kind of jacked up, because it's still definitely like a Frankenstein knee. I'm not going to say that I'm out here with this 100% knee. It gives me a lot of problems still. But she really figured it out with me and helped me. I was like running on an anti-gravity treadmill and like figuring out all this shit to figure out what I was capable of doing with my leg.
I need to back up. What's the anti-gravity
Oh, they're so
treadmill?
sick, dude. You put on these like space pants.
Whoa.
And then you zip into this. It looks like a treadmill with a big balloon on it, and you zip yourself into the balloon, which then fills with air to lift the pressure, and like you can adjust exactly how much percentile of your weight that you want to be running with. You can run with 10% of your weight, so you feel like you're running on the goddamn moon.
Whoa.
And it's usually used it's usually used for very overweight people who, well, it's used for that's not entirely true. It's used for like lower body injuries, but also for like, if you're really overweight and you're trying to, like, it's hard for you to run when you're very overweight because your joints can't take that kind of force all the time. So you can get into this anti-gravity treadmill, take some of the weight off of your joints, get the cardio in without having to put your joints through that sort of trauma.
Wow.
But that shit was dope. And that was just one element.
I thought it was just like a floating suspended.
Oh my God. I mean, you feel like you are. You really, you are floating. Like, you're just like, especially when I started and she started me, I think 10% of my body weight, or maybe like 20. And I'm just like, whoa.
Strolling along.
But she
Just
really
started
helped.
floating for everybody who can't see. She just floated a little bit. Just
And I like trust those people more. Not that I say, I mean, I don't want to be like, fuck doctors, because doctors are important. But like, she's the one that actually would look at, okay, I noticed that this is giving you pain. This isn't. This is where we're struggling. This is where you're weak. This is where you're strong. And she would develop a very, personalized plan for how to make me get from this point to this point. And she did. Whereas the surgeon, I would sit in there. And there was at one point in this one, the same place I was meeting with one of the doctors in there. At one point, there were like 10 doctors, some interns, whatever. And they were just so mind blown with like my knee and my whole story, because it's unlike anything they've ever seen. And they would be like poking it. They'd be like, does this hurt? And I'll be like, no. They'd be like, does this hurt? And I'd be like, not really. I don't really like you doing that, but like it doesn't hurt. They were just like, it was like a house case, really. They were just like poking me. They're like, oh my God, we have no idea why this happened. I'm like, well, it did. So like, let's stop focusing on like the how did it happen, because this is my life. Like, welcome to the show of my fucked up knee. Let's figure out how to make me not be in a wheelchair when I'm 45, Yeah. So it's fucked. But from a creative standpoint, and that does very much concern me, I get worried about where... Actually, in terms of burying the hatchet, I met with the surgeon a couple months ago in Delaware, who I had a lot of anger for. When it first happened, oh my God, poor guy. He's a young surgeon too. I was sobbing, crying, screaming at him in the office, being like, what did you do to me? Like, how could you do this to me? My life is ruined. And he was just like...
with the screws.
Well, this was after the injury.
Yeah.
And I was the first complication he ever had. So and I know that shit still keeps him up at night. I know it does. Because then I met with him now. Hatchet has been buried. And he was actually very pleasantly surprised with, like, he was happy with my x-ray and stuff. And I was worried he was going to say, like, you got pretty, developed arthritis. You got all this stuff. And he was like, actually, your shit's doing okay. You're going to be all right. Like, I think I'll always have knee problems. But, like, now I'm a little bit more relieved as to what my future looks like.
Fuck.
Wow. Turned it around.
This is so much of my knee.
No. This episode is brought to you by your knee. No, I mean, but I think to where it becomes relevant for your stuff, it's like you've been through stuff, you've experienced things, and I saw this thing online. Maybe it was Pinterest. We were talking about Pinterest earlier. I saw this thing online where it's just like I didn't go through all this for nothing.
Right.
And I think that like anybody who's been through some shit like uses that to at least justify. Because I think a lot of people, when like good things start to happen or whatever, just like, oh, do I deserve this? Like whatever. Like I do feel. Not like an entitlement to it, but I do feel like I'm going to work to make this stuff happen because I can't imagine everything that's happened in my life being for nothing.
Well, we say that, but I will say that like a lot of the good things that have happened to me in the last year, we like have all these things that we're like, oh my God, all I want is to have a label. All I want is to have some money. All I want is to have this. And then when it's presented to you, you're like, but is this the right thing?
Yeah.
And you're like, but is this the best option? And then someone says, oh, I heard bad things about that. I'm like, oh shit, did you? Why? And then you're like looking it up and then you're doubting it and then realizing that at the end of the day, of course, think through your decisions and not every decision is the right thing to do. But like sometimes your reluctance to doing things is just your reluctance to accept a good thing because you've been so used to fucking struggling for so long.
Which goes back to what we were first talking about like insecurities just sort of coming up out of nowhere. You know, it's like, have I made bad decisions before? Will I make them again? Et cetera, et cetera. And then you don't sleep for a week.
Well, because I think the unfortunate thing, this whole, the label deal has been a really exciting thing, and it's going to be great for my project and everything.
You just signed with Red Bull?
I did,
yeah,
which has been great. But the reality being, like, I'm 28. This is the first deal I've ever signed. But I've had besides my publishing deal, that's different. But like, I've had a series of, meetings at a bunch of major labels that I took when I wasn't ready for it, and like, I had a distribution deal that was really looking like a big thing, and I told all these people about it. I told my family about it. It fell through in long form and like just fucking dissolved and went away. And so getting to this point with this whole process of negotiating this deal, I've been so emotionally removed from it because I am now conditioned to this. I got a lot of shit actually because I didn't tell my parents. I'm sitting there in the room in the conference. They brought the whole team in. My manager's there, everybody, like we're all celebrating, having champagne. And someone said like, oh, like, how did your parents feel about this? I'm like, I haven't told them. And the room like went quiet and they were just like, you haven't told your mom and dad about this? And I'm just like, no, is that... Then I was like, shit, is that really bad? I was like, not that I love you guys. Like, this is a great thing. I just like, I had that happen, particularly with that distribution deal, and I would tell my parents because I was just trying to get them to understand, like, there are good things happening. Like,
Yeah.
some things
I'm
are
not
coming
wasting all
together.
of it, yeah.
I'm not an idiot. And then you have to have that awkward conversation at Christmas, like 2
Yeah.
lines deep, when your mom's like, oh, what was that distribution? I mean, not everybody's mom is British, only mine is, but like,
Your mom's British?
she is. She's like, oh, what was that distribution, that deal that you were talking about? I'm like, oh, it's gone. And then I hated that conversation,
Yeah.
you know, like every time. Or they'll ask like, oh, what was that thing that you were talking about? And you just have to,
It was
like,
it
oh,
just didn't happen.
no, I don't know. So now I'm just so much like, I don't believe it until
Yeah,
the
until
fucking
the-
spaghetti's on the wall, you
spaghetti's
know,
on the-
like
That's an expression that everybody uses.
everybody
Yeah.
day in, day out, since the
Yeah,
beginning
the
of time.
spaghetti on the wall,
Spaghetti on the
yeah.
wall. The old spaghetti
Well,
on the wall saying.
I like that though, because you can't argue with spaghetti on the wall. Like
No.
it's all conjecture until if there's actually spaghetti on the wall.
Did you ever do
that's
that when you were growing up? Like throw the spaghetti on the wall to make sure it was cooked?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
My mom and I did that.
I did have not. Done
What?
That, but no, it's
You take it and you throw it at the wall, and if it sticks, it's cooked.
And then you can't eat the spaghetti.
No, that one is a
you don't throw
sacrifice.
all the spaghetti on the wall.
Just
you
one
just
piece.
one of them.
You take one noodle and you throw
yeah,
it at the
it's
wall.
just like that's the check.
See, I'm imagining you taking the whole.
Oh no!
Spaghetti and just
You just take
throwing it at
one
the
noodle.
wall.
You one noodle, throw it at the wall. If it sticks, it's good to go. I actually use spaghetti in a lot of my self-made sayings. I feel like sometimes releasing music feels like throwing spaghetti into the sky, and
Wow.
that's what the process of releasing music has
great
felt like for the
image.
last.
I'm
like, year of
laughing
my
because that
life.
makes no sense to me. I don't know if you're laughing because it does.
No, it makes total sense.
Okay.
No,
I
you
think
spend all
that's
this time making
beautiful.
this spaghetti dish, and you've made it, and you've cooked it right, and then you just go,
Blah!
and it goes everywhere and also nowhere,
Yeah.
and you're just like,
It just
that was why
flutters
I
around
did
and then
that.
falls back down to the ground eventually.
And if you're lucky, it might land in a bowl somewhere, but you don't know.
You don't know. I love that.
I don't know what to tell you.
That's how releasing
don't-
music
I
has
don't.
felt for the majority of my 20s.
I don't know how to.
I just think as an honorary Italian, it speaks to it.
Sure.
That metaphor really speaks to me.
That's all. I just want it to speak to somebody. I don't care if it speaks to everybody, but it speaks to you, and that's important. But anyway, now I've been like really excited. I'm trying to. My roommate actually, she's really good at like helping you look at your real issues and emotional growth and shit, and pointing out things that you might be not thinking about, whatever. And she was the one. She's like, I think you're just accept a good thing. She's like, you've been working really hard, and like things are being presented to you. Don't be so doubtful of it. Don't be so imposter syndrome about
It's
it.
like I always say, eat the spaghetti on your plate.
Eat
Right.
the spaghetti,
Just fucking eat it.
or eat the spaghetti that you made. You know, like if you spend all this time
Wow,
making food
I like
for yourself,
that. Eat
like
the spaghetti that you
just
made.
Or and enjoy the meal.
Eat the spaghetti that you take.
eat the spaghetti that you steal from other people.
Eat the spaghetti that you ordered. You know. Eat the carbonara that's presented.
You should go if you like spaghetti. Tironi has really dope spaghetti.
There's on Sunset. There's a really good spaghetti place.
What is that?
I think it's called Spaghetti.
Oh my God.
There's
I
also
actually don't know what
There's
it's
just
called.
there's just some spaghetti
yeah.
on Sunset.
there's John and Vinny's. I haven't been to John and Vinny's yet, but that's a kind of an upscale Italian place. It's right on I think it's Fairfax, I believe, and it's supposed to be like you have to like make a reservation. They have like a whole thing, but
Well, you know, met her at a bar.
yes.
Place
place is
they're
cool.
making now a place called
Met him at a bar.
and It's a pasta joint.
and it's pasta because he's Italian.
Ooh, I like that.
Hopefully, it's pasta with a Thai twist. That's what
Ooh.
I'm thinking it will be.
Won't that just be Thai?
Yeah, that was what I was
Isn't
just-
Thai just
yeah.
spaghetti with a Thai
No,
twist?
but there's like I feel like there's
that
like
was
an interesting.
completely demeaning the entire culture of like Thai.
No, I actually think this is super interesting because I think that like a lot of pasta shapes come from like dumplings. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
shared shapes between the two, even though they are separately evolved food or like nothing separately
Dude, that
evolved
was
in
the
human
most
culture.
American
but,
thing. I
like,
hate myself for saying that. Like, isn't Thai food just a fucking like
Isn't-
Thai spaghetti?
It's all just, you know, it's all just noodles to me. You know,
It's
it's, just
Asian
all
spaghetti.
just, it's all just.
but I think about it a lot in terms of like all cultures have their like version of like a sandwich or like a
Yes.
burrito. Like every
Ooh, a banh mi.
yeah, like just like meat and starch and like certain combinations kind of crop up in separately evolved like food cultures. And I think there's an interesting gray area between like pasta that's like kind of like this other dish which is already kind of like pasta, but you could sort of like fuse the two cuisines. Like that's like I actually think that's really interesting. Like those kinds of
That would be cool.
food things really interesting.
I'll go with you.
Yeah,
Sick.
met him at a bar.
It's happening.
It's happening.
You wrote down that your favorite lyric
Oh, yeah.
was
I did.
from Dear Whatever.
Yes.
What's the lyric?
I I finally found the part of me I thought I left in you.
I just finally found the part of me I thought I left in you.
And why does that resonate with you?
That song was just that session, everything about that song was what you ideally want for a song. In that, like, I had a session, it was with Christian Metis, who's a great producer guy. He does his thing. He's great. That was a really stupid sentence. But anyway, Christian Metis, you can look him up. He does things. But we had a session that day, and that morning I had this idea in my brain, and I think it was that the pre of that song, and like the finally found the part of me I thought I left in you, and I kind of came in with that, and he was like, I like that, and we had a really fun, very just like organic session making it, and pretty much the entirety of the production of that song occurred in that session. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of like Gazzo did the mix on it and added a couple things like just to kind of thicken it up, whatever, but it was, for the most part, this framework of that song was done in one easy day. The vocal is the demo vocal. There's not a lot of layers in it, and it's a very simple song. And it was a therapeutic for me because it was like it took me a long time to get over this guy that wasn't even, it wasn't
Band
even
guy?
Who?
Band guy?
Not band guy. No, this was well before band. This was one of the first guys that I met in LA. It was actually what fucked me up because I moved to LA and everyone was like, watch out for guys in LA. They're really bad. And they're really, really bad.
That's weird. I was told the same thing. Yeah.
And I met this guy within probably 2 weeks of being in LA that sort of swept me off my feet and started taking me all these cool parties and like all these things. And I was like, what are you talking about? Dating in LA is amazing. This guy's fucking great, whatever. And we had this little few month thing. I tend to over dramatize things in my head and for my writing, like realistically.
Me too, 100%.
Yes.
You're fine.
So it's our jobs.
Par for the course.
That being said, it was a
definitely
very
your job.
real connection. It was one of those annoying things where I tried to keep my guard up with him for a while, and he just kept on like convincing me to take my guard down and convincing me that we were about to kind of go on this thing. I met his mom, I met his sister. He was talking about bringing me up to meet his dad, like the whole thing. And so I was like, oh shit, like this is getting real. And then he pulled the rug out, and it really fucked my shit up for a minute. Like I was very broken.
Because you were really getting used to being someone he loved.
Yeah, I was getting used to it, and it just whatever. But he pulled the rug out. It was great though, because I wrote, not to diminish everything to a song, but like it really helped launch a lot of the songs.
Well, and that's the thing. Whenever people are like, oh yeah, well, you'll get some songs out of it, whatever. I'm just like, that's the fucking worst concession.
Yeah, I don't
like, this breathing person that I was in love with. You're
Right.
telling me that what I have now is literally air.
Yes.
This person goes poof, and all I have is like words and like how my speakers vibrate in a specific way. Like that is not a concession prize.
No, it's not, and it sucks like that. But that being said,
But
like
if the song does well and people like it, and then you get paid, and also you get people who also connect with you and validate your experiences, that's also
and
really
then you get a
nice.
deal and like whatever,
Whatever.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But actually, for a long time, for
But
like
in
a
the
year,
moment,
in the
sucks.
moment sucks. And I wrote only like heartbreak songs for like a year. I probably wrote 150 songs about breaking up about this guy, or like about how broken I was. And then I was finally like, it took me a couple years, which is like, not to say it took me, I was obviously seeing other people or whatever, but the thing was, he was such a strong connection for me. And then I would meet someone else that just wasn't quite as good, which is actually what the song Almost is about, which I put out recently too.
I was gonna ask you about that song too.
Yes.
The hook.
If it's almost right, does that mean it's wrong?
We were almost right. But if it's almost right, does it mean it's wrong?
That is awesome. Like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel a lot about, because the reality being, people think, and people, especially like my manager, I keep bringing him up, he's a great guy, but he'll make fun of me because he's like, oh, you'll find a new fling next week, whatever. And it's like, that's actually not true. Like I don't truly on a real level connect with that many people. I could count on probably one or two hands the amount of people that I've had real deep connections with that really got to me over the last probably 6 years of my life. But yeah, of course I see people and we all have fun and we do the one night stand things, and that's fine. Like we all do it. It's all good. But like in terms of real people, and that's why like you meet someone and you're just like, oh, this is kind of cool, but like it's not like the other thing. And that's obviously a terrible mindset to go in.
It's very hard. I think especially when you have like a bad breakup, you're like, you look at almost everybody and you're like, none of them. Maybe somebody's better looking, but not like a better personality. Or somebody's
Yep.
like really fun to talk to, but not like, and then all of that could be true, but then like their taste in movies are shit, and then you're like, but she really loved that movie or whatever.
Right.
Like, I think that's the problem with meeting people who are really like, a word I used a lot was like irreplicable.
Yeah.
Is
Good
that
word.
if you try to replicate it, it doesn't. The best thing you do is just like try to, but that's harder.
It
But
is hard.
I think on the other side, the comfort in it is that we are always changing, and that like once you've moved on from something, that you've like a connection that you had in the past, like if you try to reconnect with that person, it might not even. It's like it's an entirely different thing. So
Yeah.
like we can't hold on to like even when we're with people, like we're like things are changing and like the ground is shifting always, which is I think there's a kind of comfort in that.
I think I time travel too much to easily do it.
Wait,
though.
you time travel?
Yeah, of course.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You accelerating yourself really fast. What are you doing?
Oh, I like.
There's a guy outside of a tattoo shop actually.
yeah.
Oh my god! Oh wow! The full circle punchline of that. I loved that so much.
Yeah, he actually goes, "Do you want to see my time machine?"
I'll
Yeah,
just
it's
shoot you backwards,
back
close
alley,
to the
yeah.
speed of light, and you'll get there.
I'll get you within like where you're going plus or minus 50, 60.
No, it's just a lot of DMT,
Dude, that's what I've heard about DMT. Fuck, I haven't done it.
You
but-
go so far back that you see the birth of the universe, from what I've heard.
Have you done DMT?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's on the bucket list though.
Yeah, I don't know. If,
No, what I mean by time travel is that like our job is to not just remember the past,
in a moment,
but to
yeah.
actually get into a moment. Because that's the thing. If you think about like a date that you've had, the difference between remembering something and time traveling is being able to actually feel how you felt in that moment. So you can go back to a date with somebody who was an absolute asshole to you. When you remember it, you remember that moment in the context of them being an asshole. If you time travel to it, you get to be happy.
interesting. Wow, that's very beautiful.
So I think like sometimes I write songs remembering moments, and sometimes I write songs time traveling to it. Likewise, like I think I time travel forward if I need sort of like a pick me up. Like
feel
that was a really tough week that I had. I wasn't writing anything good, but let me tell you, Jimmy Fallon, the following week is when I wrote the
My
hit.
big hit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's good.
I think I think I have a hard time being in the moment a lot. I've oftentimes felt like there's not a lot.
Well, some of the hardest thing in our job and what I've been trying to do, like there's certain exercises that I've been doing and books that I've been reading to try to improve this part of the songwriting, which is like the whole thing. It's one thing to write about a moment like he said this to me and I felt this way, but if you can really dive more into the moment, you're just like the cotton gray shirt he was wearing and like the unfinished plate of
Yeah.
spaghetti that like was reminiscent of like if you can get that. Like the specifics, and it's not rock. Everyone just loves like that's why like baby pull me closer in love. Like
Yeah.
that's why that shit worked.
Well, of
sure.
course, yeah.
Because it was so specific and tangible and all these things. But it is a lot easier to remember a moment vaguely than it is to be like, let me sit in it. What
Yeah.
was he wearing? What was he like? How was he fidgeting? Like all of those things. Like those are to make a showing statement as opposed to a telling
Yeah.
statement.
Though, of course, now it's been, post Closer, it's been co-opted by people who are not necessarily authentically doing it. Like I've
Can
seen
we get
people,
specific?
Yeah, they're
it's
like,
it's an aesthetic now.
and you looked at me with your gray sweater, like throwing it in for the sake of doing it. But
Yeah.
there, I think, and I love folk music. Like I think there are ways where it's just like very quietly setting up certain.
I feel like
scenes,
it reminds me of the lessons from the screenplay about Gone Girl and about like subtext. Like it's like when you because in songwriting you don't have a lot of lyrical real estate. Like you only have so many words and like a specific structure, and you're trying to say something. I think a lot of the stuff that's really cool is something that just like is like adjacent to like it you paint a feeling rather than just like hitting the nail over the head. Like it's
Sure.
a similar kind of thing that you're trying to do. Just like say something while not saying it with the details. Like but there's an art to it that I think is really cool.
Yeah. No, that's true. And the whole point of this, circling back,
is
Dear Whatever.
do whatever.
Dear Whatever was actually a moment for me. I was so locked in the broken, in a sense, the remembering aspect of that whole relationship. And I finally, as time, as it does, you don't think it's going to do it, but then time passes and you start healing.
Do you know that song by Randy Newman, "Losing You"?
No.
Oh, I'll play it for you after
Please,
this.
yeah.
It's beautiful. But there's this great line in it where it's like, when you're young and there's time, you forget the past. You don't think that you will, but you do. It's so nice.
That's beautiful.
No.
That's really nice. But this was like one of the first songs that I wrote about moving on. And you always want your emotional dick on the table moment where you can tell someone, hey, like, this is how I feel and whatever. And you think it's going to make you feel better, but ultimately you always decide, or you try to decide, to not send that 2 a.m. text after like a few beers to lay your emotional dick, because ultimately you don't know how it's going to come across. You don't know what they're going to say back. And even though you think it's going to give you closure, it might not give you closure.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and this is another way I don't like to water down what we do, there is some sort of cathartic thing, like that song, if he's heard it, I know he has, and he probably knows it's about him, whatever. But for me, it's at least an opportunity to say my piece and to try to, like, and that's actually, there's a pretty positive message in it. It's like, I want you to be happy. It's not about your ex, like that. If you want to be with her, like, that's fine. I'm just letting you know that I'm finally moving on. It took me a long time, and I don't think he really cared or knew that I was going through what I was going through, but I never thought I was going to feel like myself again in those dark moments. But then eventually I found that part of myself that I felt like you had took from me, and it did heal, and here I am, stronger and whatever.
Well, I think what's really powerful about those songs, especially when you've been trying to write how you feel about something, when you finally write the one where it's like, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that's the one where I said what I needed to sort of move on from that sort of experience, and that is when music becomes cathartic. That's when okay, maybe the concession prize isn't air, but the process of puffing the shit out. But like, you know, I think when it first starts stinging, it's like having like a gash on your on your body, and to trying to put like a Band-Aid over it by like writing songs. But eventually you put so many Band-Aids on, and the damn thing heals up anyway. You know, it's just like. And then, occasionally you insert human growth hormone.
Well, I think one thing that I
callback jokes. That's what we're doing today.
Yo,
We're
I
just
love it.
callbacks.
Human growth. Do your research. It's good shit. If you can get your hands on it, fucking do it.
There's a tattoo shop down the street.
It's it's expensive. We'll go into it. I'll try to show you where we can get it. But anyway. Well, I used to have a website that I knew I could order from and get somewhat reliable HGH from China, but then I think they shut down the website, so I'm not totally sure where I would go from now. Anyway, moving forward.
I'm measuring what I can say before I get arrested.
We might be actually being looked for now.
We're on a list.
Probably.
We're on a list.
But wait, fuck! I was gonna say something. I lost my. Hold on. I lost.
Yeah,
it.
whatever. Catharsis of writing songs.
Oh, okay. So that's what I want for this brand in particular, and there are pros and cons to approaching it this way, but that's what I want for this brand, is to be as transparent as possible. And I feel like a lot of artists, artists are very honest, but I want to be as close to the real in-person version of me as I can across the board. And that includes, like, when I have a song coming out, I want to say, like, hey, this was about my guitarist that I dated and it didn't work out and it fucked my shit up because of this and that. Like, I want to be as fucking real as I can. And I don't want to do it at the expense of blowing up someone's spot that didn't ask to be. Like, I won't keeping it anonymous, whatever.
I learned the hard way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I do want to make sure that people are protected, and I don't want to do something that makes someone uncomfortable. And maybe it's arguably I should maybe say, are you okay with me doing this?
Yeah.
But that's just how I want my brand to be. So long, my artist projects have felt like I've had to put my artist cape on and be this persona. And that is it took me a long time to realize, like, that is not what I want now. If anything, if the artist thing is going to work, it has to be as close. It has to be yourself. Like, that's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the jig will be up at some point.
Now, you launched Sad Alex this year.
I did.
And the first thing that was sort of up was the song you had with Vincent.
Yes, and he is my baby. I birthed him.
Here
I
for
didn't,
you.
but I love him so much. That was actually a really, really fun session. I showed up at his place, and he's a super fun, like, down to earth, like, goofy guy. We end up having a probably 2-hour conversation about Fortnite and old relationships. He was showing me he's big into gaming, and he was showing me his whole process with that. And we were
talking about all the exes that broke up with him over Fortnite. It's me or it's Fortnite.
Honestly, like, his involvement with exes and gaming is actually kind of crazy. But we were going through something very similar, and I came in with a somewhat fleshed out idea. I really had hey, I hope that you're okay. I've been drinking about you every single weekend. Like, I had come in with that to that session, but that was more like we had this 2-hour conversation, and then that inevitable silence comes when you're just like, well, we came here for a reason.
Yeah.
And now we have to mix.
So
The,
we
the
do
mounting
the
dread of
thing.
that moment is
Isn't it
Oh
crazy?
my god! I've been doing this now for 2 years. It's still so stressful.
It
It
is.
is just
Actually, to be honest, I used to get stressed about it, but that's actually arguably my favorite part of the session.
Oh, I mean that's why we're
And-
doing this. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
And I think I actually I'm trying to minimize any stress with songwriting at all now, because I think the problem when you go into a session, either A, when someone's like, oh, you have that session with this producer this week and they've got the cut and this and that and the other thing and the whatever, and you kind of feel that pressure, that unspoken thing. It's like, wow, I got to make a heater in this session or else I have failed and it's reflecting poorly on me or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I've actually realized now, especially like I got a sense of validation that I needed when I went to Sweden. Because when I was going there, and not to say that I'm like ego, I'm the best, whatever, but like, no, it wasn't like that at all. It was more in the fact that like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves every time we go into a room with random people, that we are going to go in and we're going to make this amazing piece of art that's undeniable and it's going to be easy and it happens quickly and everybody's happy and we all sleep well that night. And that is a big thing. It's a big task. And in the sense of like my continued goal to just be real, I want to be able to go into a room, have an enjoyable time with people, and even like we might come together sometime, try to work on something. It might not work for whatever that day. And what I wish that we could all get better at with as songwriters, as producers, whatever, is to be like, hey guys, this energy feels off. We all aren't fucking with this that much, and that's okay. Let's go get a sandwich. Let's
Yeah.
go let's just call this for today, or like maybe try again later, or like whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we can still have, or even if you like, don't water down like what you said, coming up with one good melody. There are some people like when I come in and shit out a song and that's what I feel the pressure. I'm like, I need to write something from start to finish. Sometimes I've worked with people, they're like, wow, like I can't believe you just even wrote a full song. I'm like, really? What do
Yeah.
people usually do in
Yeah.
here? You know?
When you're coming from the Nashville thing where it's like crap
Yeah.
out 3 a day,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
in a session, whatever. I think that for me, I would oftentimes get very down on myself when I was writing with people, especially people I knew were good, and things weren't happening because I felt like I would be dragging my feet. But also, I can gauge like energy in a session. Like I can figure out how we're feeling, if we're getting excited. There have been times when we've been really excited about a song and I hear it tomorrow and it sucks. And there have been times where I'm like, this bombed, and then we listen to it when we finally have the stomach to listen to it, and it's like, oh, actually, this is pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of the time, when I go into the session that I put a lot of pressure on it, it ends up being an okay session. And then the one that you don't put any pressure on ends up being this amazing song. Or I just try to go in now, I just really don't give a fuck. Like, I don't want to waste anyone's time writing a song that isn't good. We are all experienced enough and can objectively listen to something. And granted, I say that and now I kind of take it back because
No, because
sometimes like
that's the thing. It's like sometimes I'm just really tired. Also, like I've been usually able to like trust my gut, and now my gut
now your gut is
doesn't
really
work.
it's
Yeah.
very misleading.
Like I used to be like
feel sick all the time.
Yeah, I'd be like stomach. Do you like this song? And it would like gurgle and hurt for a second, and I'd be like bad song. But now it just gurgles and hurts all
Yeah,
the time.
I mean, that's
and,
just your life now.
That's my life.
But I think it's like a lot of times we're driven by our taste, and like our taste changes like quite like a fair amount.
All the
Like you
time.
can definitely hear like like the first time I heard the record Blonde, I was like, I was
Yeah.
just like, it didn't hit me in that particular moment in that context, and I listened to it in another context and like really loved it. And like if we do what we want to do and put out like good records that are doing things in the world, like that's also the relationship other people are going to have with it. And, our relationships with our own work and with other people's work are going to ebb and flow.
And we've been going
So,
back on demos and stuff, and there have been a couple times we've been jokingly like listening to stuff we made 3 years ago. We'd be like, "Were we ahead of our time?" Like.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like we listened to stuff that we thought at the time was like shit because what we were listening to didn't reflect what we were making. But now, what we're listening to,
Well, that's why I kind of rescind what I said in the sense that like your worst song might be the song, or what you think is your worst
Yeah.
song might make you the most money, because at the end of the day, music is subjective, and it you don't know. We
Yeah.
can think that something's great and it might never get cut. That was actually one of the writers that I work with at Red Bull a lot, and he's been in this a little bit longer than I have. His name's Rami, and he like there was a moment at a camp when there was a couple of we were working in this camp for this young R&B pop artist, and they were taking 2 of my songs from outside that I had done previous to this camp and having her cut on them. And I had my initial reaction to that was kind of selfish and kind of like immature, and that I was like, but what if I don't want her to have those songs? Like, and for me personally, I didn't express this to them, but I did, like, I think they understood. They could kind of get that I felt uncomfortable. And because in my mind, I was like, I wanted Kalani to have that song, And I was having a drink with Rami, like, after the camp was done one day, and I was like, I don't know, I feel really uncomfortable with this. And he was like, you know what? Like, honestly, your song that you think is going to be your number one hit probably will never get cut. And your song that you think is hot garbage will make you like $1 million, and you have no rhyme or reason to know why. And your best case scenario, like that's why I totally see what you guys are saying. Your best case scenario these days is to break a new artist. Like the window of getting that major label or major artist A-list cut is so small, and there's so many hoops that you have to make it through in order for that to land. And not to say that it's not possible, it is. And when it happens, it's fucking golden. But like, I much prefer to work with an artist like at the growing stages, like the artist that I was working with yesterday, Halo Boy. He's this dope, grungy kind of Marilyn Manson meets like or pop thing that's really different and cool. And that gets me off way more to work with someone like that from the ground up, knowing like I see like where that could launch. And maybe a year and a half from now, I'm going to be like sitting pretty in my yacht that I bought, with that Halo Boy money.
Well, and that's like, we have our people that we've been working with, but I think about like, on the one hand, like how Lido must have, felt when he first heard Halsey, on the other side, I think about like somebody like Jesse St. John, who is obviously an amazing songwriter. He's gotten cuts with like Camila Cabello and with like Britney and stuff, but he has an artist project. He's been just trucking at like making stuff, but he did Truth Hurts with Lizzo 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 3 years ago or whatever. And like now he has a song as a songwriter that's a like Billboard #1 that when it was made, like who could have thought? I mean, same goes for like Someone You Love that came out a year ago.
And that's what they always say. Like when they put that, I watched a Genius thing with the producer of Truth Hurts, and it was like when it came out, we were really disappointed. I thought it was he was like, I thought it was a sure thing, and it didn't catch. And so I just I had to just bury my dreams with it. And then all of a sudden someone had to call me to be like, do you know that Truth Hurts is like climbing the charts right now? And then all of a sudden there it was.
Yeah.
This is a crazy fucking job we have.
That's how it be sometimes.
And that's what I hold that for songs like, Dear Whatever is not necessarily performing very well at all. I mean, it's doing okay, but like it's not doing phenomenal. But if maybe 2 years from now, when shit's popping off more, maybe that song will have its day. And
well, there was a song we made right before we left Boston called Easy For You. And that song meant a lot to us. Like that song was like our last, like it was very much a song about moving on from stuff, about accepting what was going on, like with a past relationship, about looking forward to what was coming next. Like it sort of encapsulated exactly where we were at the time. And when it came out, nothing. Like when it came out, there was no like playlist support. There was very little like blog support. Like it just sort of like petered a little bit. But since then it's grown organically. Like since then people have like listened to it, and like it's now one of our better streamed songs. Not obviously in the same way that like Lizzo,
right?
But what I mean to say is like,
but don't water down. Like it's great. Like we water down numbers so much. We put so much pressure on it. It's like, yo, getting 100,000 streams is really cool. Yeah, like be happy with that.
And that's the thing is like what I'm really proud. I'm almost more proud that song has done well organically than I am for like the songs that did get playlisting or whatever. Because it's one thing to like have things be presented to everybody. It's a whole nother thing. Like I love everybody who listens to this podcast, because that means that these are people who wanted to hear like the stories of the artists that were there, who might have some interest in us, who are in their car like experiencing it, and if at some point it does pop off or whatever, that'd be really cool. But for now, literally, like I know who's like, I can see the numbers, I can see the growth, I can see all that stuff. The organic level of people who are actually connecting with stuff means the absolute fucking world to me.
That's the bread and
even
butter.
If it's a slower burn.
That's the meat and potatoes of the thing, though.
Spaghetti and sauce.
That's the spaghetti and sauce. It's that pasta water.
That young pasta water.
That starchy
water. Starchy water. That liquid gold.
That sticks to the fucking wall.
But then another circle back to what I was saying about that, and that's this whole thing, this rebrand, like just this new kind of emotional growth of my life has been to understand what levels and what definition of success is going to ultimately make me happy. And all I really want for my artist stuff, for my songwriting stuff, for my music career in general is just to like myself every day, to like what I do, the process every day, to like what I make, and to just, hopefully pay my bills, maybe not be in debt, maybe do really well, or maybe, and yeah, I'm not saying like if I get offered to play an arena, I'll play it. I will stomp the shit out of that arena in my boots. It'll be great. But I also would My
For a second when you said stomp, I'm like, you're gonna get like trash cans and like.
Oh, I'll stomp. I'll do
Yeah,
stomp.
You'll
I'll
do
do
stomp.
stomp.
You'll do stomp in the arena. Yeah.
I'm more just picturing my thigh-high boots that I would probably want to wear. Or I probably wouldn't wear that at all, but I just picture thigh-high boots. But what
you
also,
choose.
like my more immediate goal, which is actually really achievable, I think, with this next wave that I'm doing, is to go on tour on a very small scale. Like I'm talking like I'm here for the 100 cap rooms. Like let's fucking go. Like I want to do the small, connect with people, hold their hands while I'm singing some song, and talk to them afterwards. And you make those very real 10 fans after a show that are continue to be on your journey. And there's so many different artists that like I like the Sylvanessos of the world or the whatever that are really respected artists, and they aren't necessarily household names, but they've played the festivals that I want to play. They've done their shit and haven't compromised it, and they've are known in the industry, and that's all I really want.
I think practicing that like gratitude is really important, as sort of preachy as that sounds. I think I had a hard time this year just constantly focusing on and like obsessing over what didn't happen. I think I got down this year that we didn't put out any music, but there were goals like moving the piano, like starting the podcast, and and to continue to work with our friends and to develop people. I think we did everything that we said that we wanted to do this year. We got a drummer, I mean,
Right.
those are like we did things this year that if you told me 3 years ago would happen, I would have been like, no way. Like I would be in awe and excited. But now, of course, all I can focus on about is how we
negative,
wasted the
yeah.
year. I'm
So
thinking
that
like,
was the root of the problems with the Alexa project. The music was not authentic. That was a lot of the Alexa project was me chasing what I thought was going to perform well, chasing what I heard was performing well, and it wasn't actually. It was me trying to be sexy, me trying to be all these things that not to say that I can't be sexy. Like I want to approach sexiness in a more intentional way now, but like that was it was just not a genuine thing for me.
we when we first started thought we were making like sex music. Like I thought
Sex
like
music.
that, like we
Bedroom pop.
were in college,
love
and that
bedroom
was
We,
what,
we were once described as what was
Lurid bedroom
lurid
pop?
bedroom
Yeah.
pop.
Lurid bedroom pop.
I think that we were just like, I mean, at that point, like RKCB and Opium, whatever, I think that like we were trying to lean into, you grow up,
Yeah.
you figure out how to be
Figure out how
sexy
to
in
do
your
it.
own way. Now I feel I hate saying this word. I feel so weird saying it. Let me just say it. I'm going to confidently say it. I feel very sexy.
Ooh, yes. Yes, you do.
I feel very sexy when I can just be honest about how I feel.
Oh,
I think I feel very sexy when I,
tasteful masochism.
yeah.
Masochism.
Tasteful masculinity.
Masculinity, rather,
Yeah.
yes.
No, but that's the thing. I feel really good and confident when I can talk about how confused I am, how like frustrated I am. When I can like sort of growl at the world a little bit, as opposed to sort of being so cool that like nothing affects me and all I am is like, how's the sex today? Like, that's just not for me.
Yeah.
For me, like being sexy has very little to do now with sex and has a lot to
Sure.
do with like how I'm expressing what it's like to be in my 20s in what will be the 20s.
What I'm trying to figure out how to translate, it's not rocket science why this is the case, but like I always feel sexiest actually when I'm bartending. I feel way more sexier, and not to say I'm confident in my songwriting and everything. I think there's a certain sense of like I go into a bartending job. I used to be very like I'll talk about my music and try to network, but that has not been the case for years. Now, if I'm bartending, I actually sort of learned the hard way how tacky that can look when you're trying to network yourself to people because the reality being if you're bartending in Nashville or LA, people are going to come in that you are like, oh my God, that's so-and-so's agent, that's so-and-so's manager, or
Yeah.
that's fucking so-and-so.
Yeah,
like whatever it
yeah.
is. Like,
I love
and
so-and-so. They're so good, yeah.
But now I've found you actually if you are to make a connection from someone at a bar in that way, it's going to come way more easily if you're just a natural, normal person and let them ask you what you do and get that information if they want it or if they don't, because they might want to be just coming in and not talking about work either. But there's something like, and I dress differently when I'm bartending than I am in like real life because the objective is different, and and I'll walk with those 2 feet of wood in between me and the nearest person besides the other bartender with me, whatever. I feel like I am a fucking vixen. I'm back there, I'm shaking cocktails, I'm popping beers open, and I'm just pouring shots, and I have control of the liquor, which is what you want. And like, I can, if I see a cute guy, I can be like, here's a shot on me, baby.
Yeah.
And just feel really like, feel really hot. But then sometimes take that energy. I still have struggled to find getting that person, that side of me into the writing room is difficult because I'm so used to writing about my vulnerabilities and my, insecurities or whatever it is, to find the song that's that person. And then when I hear it, doesn't make me cringe because there's a lot of the sexy songs that I attempt usually do make me cringe. I've been struggling to do that. I attempted one it's a good song. I did one in Sweden that was trying to be like a sexy song and it worked, but it still doesn't feel like my project yet, and I still haven't found that magic combination of sexy that is Sad Alex, and I'll get there. I'm trying.
You gotta just work around it. Try stuff like in the ballpark of it.
Yeah, I just need to like
zero in.
Set up like a bar at the session and just like we'll just make it.
Are you ready for the question round?
Yeah,
Time for the question round.
I think so.
All right, first question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your phone background?
My phone background.
Yes.
Oh, it's actually a picture that I drew. I'll show you. Where is it? I mean, this makes me feel a little bit narcissistic because it's one of me. This is actually a trace one that I did of
that's cool.
me. This was me at Pride.
Can you describe it?
Okay, so there was a picture of me at Pride with like, I had nipple stickers on. I wasn't walking around with my tits out, but I did have like a really short little rainbow crop top on and my shorts. And that was actually a really fun day. We went around and did Pride and did the whole thing and saw, I think we saw Cupcake perform and whoever it was. And so some of my art is based from reference. And that's when I see something and I piece it together with different things and I draw up a little version of it. But some of them, especially for that, if I want that particular style, I'll take a photo, I'll put it into the platform that I use and then trace around it and then add I made it sort of, I put stuff dripping out my eyes or whatever. I make it more artistic or fun and however I want to do it. And so I'll sometimes do it for friends and I'll draw up little versions of them too. So I don't know.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. And it's like a version of yourself that you can like an artistically drafted version of yourself that you can be looking
It's actually
at.
a pretty dysfunctional phone background. It kind of makes shit really difficult to read. I might need to reconsider. But it's just like
There's a white background.
Yeah, it just makes things look really busy. I feel like it's giving me a lot of anxiety. I might change it soon.
And I guess at this point, at least one of them is pretty obvious. But do you have any non-musical hobbies other than, I guess, dancing or art?
Well, so I've just gotten back into dancing recently, and firstly, I'll never be able to get back into dancing as in depth as I did before. Right now, I'm just learning to take some hip hop classes. It was very humbling when I first got back into it because I have a very different body that I'm working with now and very different capabilities. I'm extremely rusty, but I am going to try to start getting into maybe some lyrical. I'm never going to do ballet again unless I just do like a ballet bar or something. But I am trying to get back into it in a recreational sense, especially to help strengthen some of the, whether video work or live stuff, having dance background is helpful.
For sure.
I also do a lot of yoga. Yoga for the longest time and has been up until I just started taking classes was pretty much the closest thing that I could get to dance. And it's still my favorite workout is yoga, 100%. I like bartending. I like making, and it's not so much I have been getting into mixology. That's cool. I was born in high volume. It's more just I am at the point now where I have a lot more fun inviting my friends to come visit me at a bar that I'm working at, and I get to hook them up and feel, I don't know, I'm doing something, helping people out with having a fun night, as opposed to going out and spending absurd amounts of money on liquor I don't even like.
Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously drawing being an increasingly new, more involved hobby now because it's playing such a pertinent role in my branding as well. And yeah, I think that's it.
That's pretty cool, though. It's
Yeah.
some good hobbies to have.
Cool hobbies.
And on that note, do you have any skills that you would like to have? Is there anything that you would like to be able to do? You see people doing that, I wish I could do that.
I wish, this is a really dumb one. I wish I could play guitar better, or even arguably piano better. I was classically trained at piano, but I'm taking lessons right now to get more jazz influence into that. And
Yeah.
I was really dumb. I sold the only guitar that I had, which my dad gave me in high school. I sold it for $50 in Nashville in a dark time. Did I need $50 that bad? Probably not. And now I don't have a guitar, so I'm going to get one and try to learn again and just so I can implement it. I also wish I could build things better. like people that are really good at like assembling things, like being able to put. I had to return floating shelves because I couldn't figure out how to put them on the wall.
I'm with you there. Adult Legos, too much for me.
I was like that, and I mean I've always liked putting stuff together, but I did not know how to hang stuff on walls earlier this year.
Oh my
and then
God.
I did a lot of Googling, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned a lot of very important lessons about how not to hang things on walls. But I've successfully installed a projector in my room, which is a very proud accomplishment.
Well,
as far
that's
as
what
home
I'm gonna
improvement
have to get
goes.
someone to help do. I want to do the mounting a TV on my wall, and
Yeah.
I'm learning that it's too in depth of a task. I'm just gonna have
Yeah,
to suck it up,
that's
pay
a
the
big
$100,
one.
get someone to put it on the
Yeah.
wall. But the floating shelves, I got them. I guess they were too heavy, and I didn't realize for the wall that we wanted, the wall in question, they've done like the stud finder on the wall, and it's apparently just a really problematic wall. And so that particular shelf, we can still put a shelf on it, but I think it has to be a much more light, like chill shelf, and not a heavy wooden
Yeah.
wine rack shelf.
What would you say your superpower is?
I would like to say that I can see through the bullshit. Like I feel like I've been getting as I said, I've been getting like very highly sensitive to when I feel like people are just being surface level with me. And my goal is just to get to like, I just really enjoy, if I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, I would much rather talk about like the very real pit of their stomach shit than like the surface level shit that we find we're always having to do in networking events or whatever it is. Like that's what I feel like. I used to approach networking in this like guerrilla style way. Like I would go into a room and I'd be like, do I have enough business cards? I need to talk to everybody about my brand. And like, it was just a very aggressive thing. And now like when I go somewhere, I'm just like, I am here to just chill and have a good time. And even if I would rather have one meaningful conversation with somebody about if they, what hikes they like to go on. Spaghetti and like funny shit. And
I learned
get
some
to
interesting Raven facts last night at school night.
right? Like it's such a more pleasant conversation too. And you feel so much more tapped into your actual human nature than when you're having some watered down music industry conversation. And then often than not, a conversation like that yields way more, it translates way more into working together in a real capacity than like trying to be like, I'm this person, find me on Instagram and like maybe we can, like I don't like that conversation at all. So my superpower is seeing the bullshit.
I feel that. All right, and now the most important question
fuck.
in the question round. Would you be a pirate?
Yes, I would. Especially, I mean,
You've passed.
right. I think they seem like a way more fun route in the 1600s than the alternative,
I agree.
and better outfits.
Definitely better outfits.
Hotter guys, hotter girls. There's more at stake,
Definitely more at stake.
taking more risks, but for a greater reward, which is in a sense, we are pirates. We are constantly trying to get that nut, get that gold that we,
Because I get that.
Get that, yeah,
that
trying
nut.
to get our nut.
we're trying to get our nut. We're trying to find that treasure chest, and we have to jump and commandeer a ship of British people to get it. And then, Johnny Depp's there and we're like, damn, you look great. And then like, it's this whole thing and we're dead inside.
I mean, yeah, that is pirates.
Yo ho and a bottle of rum.
Yeah, like, that's it.
The pirate's life for me. I
Yeah.
just think I would get seasick.
Oh, so you're not a pirate.
No,
I think
he's no.
I-
Yes,
I
it's
think
been,
I'm-
it's been
I think
the
my-
argument at the heart of the whole podcast.
But we need someone on the ground. I feel like we
It's not.
we need a man on shore.
I think it's more. I think
we need a dock boy.
yeah.
no. My perspective is more that I think that people tend to and this is honestly Disney's fault. People tend to Disneyfy things in their head about history, and they're like, this thing would have been super fun. But I'm like, if you were actually there, I try to time travel as honestly as I can to certain things, and
be
be
a
like, if you were
pirate.
actually there, that would be kind of crappy because of just like the quality of life that we're used to now, partially. And I think as a spirit question, I think it's always interesting because people are like, yeah, like I would operate outside the law, but I'm also just like, if you were actually there, like in the Wild West, like having to deal, like it would be being an organized
It wouldn't
crime
be in the
now.
Wild West.
No, but it would be like
pirate
being
time.
No,
It'd be on
no.
a boat.
What I'm saying is it'd be
Fucking
like
It would
the
be a
Wild
gross
West.
boat though, for
It
sure.
would be like being an organized crime now. Like you would be operating, in this murky territory, and you can't trust anyone, and you have to kill people, and you'd have to like use a lot of violence. And I'm like, I don't think I'd be into that personally. And,
No,
and
I
that's just an
respect
interesting
that.
character question.
I don't know. I'm not saying I'd be a very good pirate. I would try though. I would be more into it for the outfits and like
That's where I'm at. Yeah. Honestly, swashbuckling. I want a sword fight.
I like swashbuckling. I feel like I relate to the Renaissance people, the people who are just like random people who are like going off like looking at birds, like being scientists, but also like painting things and just being like, I'm just going to engage with
You're like a
the
Darwin.
greater truths of the world, or like Leonardo da Vinci. Like those people are super
We
cool.
need
We're
those
just like
people, though.
I love that.
He wouldn't last a day in Pirate Times.
I probably wouldn't last a day in Pirate Times, but
I
I
don't
know
know if
that
I would
about
last a day in
myself.
Pirate
No,
Times.
I'd make him walk the plank for that.
I don't want to walk the plank. I don't. That's not for me.
Can you swim?
Not my favorite
Shark
thing.
bait. Hoo ha ha.
Not my favorite
Oh my
thing.
god!
It's ironic that the first album I ever made was a pirate concept album. It was about
Wow.
What?
Yeah, it was. What
was it called?
It was called. I think it was called Walk the Plank. Was that the name of the
Wow.
record? I forget the name of the record. It was. Yeah, it was a concept record about a pirate,
Pirate
and there was
concept.
betrayal, and there were zombies, and it was a whole thing.
It's a hell of a concept.
It was a hell of a concept.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Moving on.
Anyway.
moving on. Speaking of cool concepts, what was your first tattoo?
My first tattoo was on my ribs. It's pretty tacky. It's like this dumb, like, I do music and I want a music
Oh,
name.
nice. Yeah.
And I was in college and
What is it?
It's like an eighth note connected to
To
a treble
to
clef.
a treble clef.
I got it at a tattoo shop in Baltimore where I went to college. I don't know. It's pretty much probably my least favorite tattoo that I have. And it was fine. And
feel
here
it.
I am.
Well, here you have it now. You
I
do
have
you
it-
do music.
I do music. So that's a real
It
thing.
makes sense. Well, if I guess follow up question, what's your favorite tattoo?
My alien, which is
Mm.
it's so funny because he like this one I probably put besides my knife, and well that's okay. Well, these were all like flash tattoos, which have always been my favorite ones. The ones that you put the least amount of thought into.
Mm.
My more thought out tattoos, I actually have more regrets about those ones than like the ones that I just get. So
Yeah.
my alien I like a lot. I just like the placement of it. I like how he looks, and he's my little alien man. I like him.
That's great.
And you're stupid if you think that aliens aren't, you know,
Well, duh.
an important part of our existence. If we were the only life form in this universe, like you gotta be
You gotta be
dumb.
kidding me. Gotta be kidding me. What was your first concert?
I can't remember if it was either a coffee house because at my high school, I think it was probably when I was a freshman in high school. We had this coffee house thing in high school where I said high school a lot in that sentence. We had this coffee house thing that after school at like 3:30
In high school?
in high school, after high school was done, in high school. When, at like 3:30, you could
Near the
sign
high
up.
school?
I was in high school. I passed. And we would play. You could sign up and play a song or two. And that was when I was like, I think I played some original songs. I remember I got made fun of. My friend made fun of me because I was learning how to play guitar, and I put it on the wrong leg. I put it on my left leg. Fucking Doug Bennett. He made fun of me. Shout out Doug Bennett. He's actually still a friend, so he's great. But I had my guitar on my left leg instead of my right leg, so I had the guitar like a mariachi band, and I was like playing it, and so nervous. Like I still actually deal with a lot of nerves when I play, but I've gotten much better about it. And I'm a little bit. That's one thing that'll be changing this year. This past year, live was not a very big part of my my day to day and my professional shit. I was locked in the studio all the time. And did a lot of traveling and did a lot of writing and did a lot of work for other artists and finally figured out where my own art stuff was going to land. And now the shift this year, especially with everything falling into place, there is going to be much more of a transition to more live. My goal, like going on tour is a major goal, even short. It doesn't have to be massive, but it's like some sort of starting that touring element of my artist thing. 'Cause I still do think that's the best way to gain real organic fans.
Yeah.
Even if I'd rather have 20 real organic fans than 100 fake Instagram fans, you know? So that's a major thing for me. And I used to be like in Nashville, I was playing live like 4 times a week. I was doing rounds all the time. And that was one thing my dad, actually, I was on the phone with him because I'm going home for the holidays. And he was like, would you be down to do like an acoustic show? Like somewhere, maybe at a venue or whatever. Like, and there was a time in my life in Nashville where if you asked me with 1 day's notice to play like an hour set by myself tomorrow, I'd be like, no problem. I got you. I'm ready to go. Granted, it was a lot of hot trash songs, but like I was ready to
Yeah.
play them for you. And now I'm actually so rusty with my live aspect, especially if it's dominated for me being the only instrumentalist there. Theoretically, yes, I arguably could probably make a good amount of money playing a hometown show, and it would be fun and be able to showcase some new music to these people that have been with me since I started doing hot trash music at 16. Like
Yeah.
that would be cool. But realistically, it would take a lot of preparation. And then I'd be home for the holidays, spending more time focusing on this hometown show than actually spending time with my family, which is like not what I want to do. But I said I was like, as a compromise, they want to have a house party. I'll play a couple songs on the piano. Everybody wins. It's fine.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's nice. Your parents just want to see you play the piano.
They just want to see. Yeah, they just want to see you, hear you sing a little bit. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Who was the first musical artist you saw live?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this is entirely accurate because it's really hard to know specifically, but I feel like it was Cat Power. Do you remember Cat Power?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cat Power is great. In terms of, I think I'd seen other things. My parents were very good about bringing us to the symphony and like all these things. I would see in a lot of live music, but in terms of like the first intentional show that I feel like I bought tickets with my friend, I think we must have been freshmen or sophomores in high school. And I was obsessed with Cat Power at the time. And like, it was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's really cool. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Killing Me Softly.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's a great song.
I did it. We had a really fun Red Bull camp for like all the songwriters in Santa Monica like a couple months ago. And at the end of it, we went like the last night we were like, they had a boat party for us, which was dope. And then we went out to like the Gaslight, which is like this really divey karaoke bar in Santa Monica. And all of us sang karaoke songs. And it was so fucking fun, dude. That was such a great night. It was awesome. We had fun.
That's good.
That sounds awesome.
It was great. Go to Gaslight. The Gaslight's a good time.
We'll check it out. What's your favorite movie, book, and TV show?
Oh my
respectively?
God, that's so much.
I know it's so much.
Okay.
Quick, first thing that comes to your head.
Favorite movie is probably Shawshank Redemption.
Nice.
Okay.
Favorite book. I've been reading a lot of books recently, a lot more than I have. I had a few years where I really didn't read very much, and I've recently gotten really back in heavy to reading books, and I've enjoyed it a lot. But I don't know. I still don't have the answer to that question because I kind of struggle to find the specific lane of book that
Yeah.
I really like. I like creepier, darker books, sort of mystery, whatever. I literally just texted a friend to like, I'm trying to collect as many book recommendations as I can and like consolidate. And then TV show,
Or also something you're just like really into at the
really
moment.
fuck with Handmaid's Tale.
Mm,
That's a really good one.
good
That's a good one.
I got into that late in the game.
me
But
too.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Thought it was a really original concept. And also, I think the reason that that's cool, also feel bad because I didn't realize it was based on a book until like I'd already started it. I'd like to read the book. But it's a very realistic kind of, not very realistic, but it's a somewhat plausible near future for our society that could happen.
Which is terrifying.
I hope it doesn't,
Yeah.
but it could. And those sort of stories interest me a lot,
Yeah,
I think.
for sure. That's an interesting question. Do you have a favorite sound?
I think recently, in terms of the soundscapes that I've been leaning towards, I've been kind of going down that Charlie Puth route of production, and I really love this. My favorite element of production and what I'm good at, like I'm still growing as a producer in like the track element of it, but in terms of vocal producing, that's where I can really do shit that I'm proud of. And I love stacked, clean, well thought out harmonies, well thought out vocal parts. And if my
best.
song can be like, I love the tracks that are vocally based with like a really good vocal pad or vocal thing that a vocal sound that you've created
Yeah.
out of a sample. Those are always the hottest sounds for me.
For sure.
And that is kind of a lot of this new stuff is really based in that world of like simple production, good like vocal production, heavy vocal production. And because I think if you ever are at that point when you're producing the track and you're like, fuck, like what sort of sick fucking saw do we need here? I'm like, arguably that might mean there's something wrong with the song as a whole.
Yeah.
What's
So-
your favorite naturally occurring sound?
Naturally occurring sound. I mean, I'm a simple woman. I was born on the piano, and I think my favorite piano, I'm biased, is the one in my house in Delaware. It's this Steinway Baby Grand 1930s piano. Just gorgeous, like really, really weighted, like heavily weighted keys that give you this tone that like, I don't know, it's like this soft, almost muffled piano
Yeah.
sound. And there is something so beautiful on just a great song on piano. And that's where I was born. So I think
Yeah.
I'll always gravitate towards that.
That's how I feel about my piano.
Yeah, downstairs. It's a nice
Yeah.
one.
I've got a Yamaha in Tennessee that I feel similarly about.
That's the one I learned how to play
Oh.
on. Yeah.
No, I love the piano we have in Delaware. It was my aunt was a pretty she's still alive, but my aunt is a very accomplished pianist. She gravitates more towards cello now because her fingers, she got pretty bad arthritis in her fingers, and it became too
shit.
difficult for her to play or too painful. And she had that because she studied it at Yale, and then once it was becoming too frustrating for her to play that piano, she gave it to my dad, because we were all in, or maybe he bought it off her. I don't really know how that transaction went down, but we were all learning how to play piano. And I mean, you're giving 5-year-olds a fucking beautiful Steinway baby grand. It actually was pretty difficult, especially as a kid. The keys are so weighted that you're like, this is a pain in my ass. Like it was, your fingers would be sore. Like you had to get like the muscles going.
That was the case with my dad's guitar. I had like an action of like an inch.
Oh my
I never
God.
really learned how to play guitar properly because it was too hard to play. So I would like make up tunings. So I would only have to use like 1 or 2 fingers.
Yeah.
So by the time it got to my ring finger, I couldn't push down.
I
my
remember.
God.
I remember being able to play bar chords was like such a goal of mine. I'm like, one of these days, my fingers are going to be strong enough that I'm going to be able to hold down this whole ass chord.
Then you just
up on
play
the
like an
neck.
actual working guitar, and you're
Yeah,
like,
you go to
this
Guitar
is-
Center, you're like, whoa, it's so easy. Like it sounds so nice.
Yeah, I
But
am gonna start diving back into my guitar playing because I did that whole thing when you taught yourself and you think you're like, oh my God, I am a guitar god.
Yeah.
And the first year of guitar teaching yourself, you're like, I am immortal, and this is me now. I am the best guitar player on the planet. And then you soon realize you're like, oh, I'm actually the worst guitar player on the planet, and the only way I'm gonna get better is if I play like for fucking 3 hours, 6 hours a day.
Which
Yeah.
sucks because I'm the kind of person who like needs like the first draft of anything, like the first try of everything, like whatever. If it's not pure genius, like I get so discouraged
Yeah.
that I never touch it again.
Yep.
Which is a problem. But
Yeah.
I feel that. Dude, what's the best date you've ever been on?
I feel like I'm forgetting every date I've ever been on right now. There was one that I went on with my ex man person, and we went to Perch in downtown. Like, there's this really beautiful rooftop
The
restaurant.
I've been there. Yeah, it's really
And,
cool.
Yeah, I actually, to be real with you, the thing that's hard, I've had that was the second official serious relationship with a label on it that I've had in my life. I've only had one in high school when I was like senior in high school. Every other thing, like the things that I've become involved with, they were serious and they were real, but we never put a label on it. And so it's hard to count what dates were because we hadn't put a label on anything yet. So in a sense, my dating experience in that regard is quite rudimentary. And like with my ex, we did go on dates, but they weren't like, I'm not saying we only dated for a couple months officially too. So it's not like we had a lot of chance for him to do the whole like make a plane go by with my
Right.
name in the hearts, like whatever. Like
Yeah.
it was very normal shit. We would just go to like a movie or a
you
restaurant.
should leave anybody who doesn't put your name in her complaint.
Like,
I mean,
like,
what,
are you
what
even dating?
Yeah, what are you
Yeah.
sticking around for, you know?
Like, so I don't think I've had a whole lot of those dates that are just like, wow, that was the most chivalrous like thing. I mean, they're great. Like I had fun with him when we were just like on his couch watching
Yeah.
a movie, eating Thai food. Like those were great dates for me. I don't know if it doesn't sound like much, but that's where the real shit is. Or like, yeah.
That's whatever. That's kind
I
of
mean,
what everyone
that's
wants.
always what it comes down to is like, can you just have like a nice like
Thai food.
moment? Thai food.
Yeah. Can you whistle?
Sometimes I feel like I'm inconsistent, but like sometimes it's quite strong, and sometimes it's no, it loses, it goes away.
That was really hard to watch.
fucking
It had nice moments.
and then sad Alex crumbled before my eyes. That was really bad. But I feel like sometimes, I feel like maybe if I'm just the right amount of drunk and I'm not so nervous about it, I can whistle a melody. Like I've known I've done it.
I like flexing this part. I'll
You can whistle really well.
Yeah, I
Can't
take
you?
requests.
Do whistle fucking closer right now. Very nice.
I mean, it's like kind of a boring song to whistle. Can you challenge me?
I thought that was kind of challenging. It's very punchy.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
It's almost like my mouth isn't strong enough to do it. You're great. Can you give me some vibrato?
We'll slide
Yeah,
some
there we go.
theremin
That was
vibes.
really nice. Beautiful. Is this what you do on your dates?
I've
Yeah,
seen
it works every time.
Like
It really blows them away.
in the middle of dinner?
It really blows them away.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love a good
That.
pun.
Wow. Wow. Do you have a scar with a story?
A scar with a story?
Well, I feel like we heard the
We've
story.
kinda-
I'm so
we
sorry.
kind of went there pretty hardcore on this podcast.
Those are the scars from the knee surgery that went wrong. And then I actually have a funny scar above, a totally separate scar. Above my lip, there's like a little line. And that was when sorry, I'm away from the mic. A little line here. And it's really faint right now, but my little brother, when he was, because he's 10 years younger than us, and he was 2 or 3, and I was 12 or 13. And he was like, had this plastic boomerang in his hand. And I was talking to someone over here, and he was like, "Hey, Alex, catch." Throws the boomerang at me. It hits me in the face. And at first, like, I didn't realize what had happened. I was like, "Oh, that sucks at that boomerang." But it was like a really thin, like, basically a plastic knife is what he threw at my face. And my dad, I remember I looked over and I just thought, I was like, "Oh, I just got hit in the lip." And I looked over and my dad was like, "Come inside with me." And like, basically it almost got entirely through my lip. And I had this, him and I went to the emergency room. Also, I was like coming back from a spring break to middle school the next day. I'm already a huge stage 5 loser in middle school. I was not cute. I was not popular. I got used one night for a sleepover because like the popular girls asked me to have a sleepover at my house. And I thought, I was like, I am being ushered in now. Wow, what a moment.
Now's
this
your
is.
time.
But I lived in the same neighborhood as Cam Forbes, who was the hottest guy in middle school. And when we had the sleepover, Cam Forbes and like they like came to my window. We tried to sneak out. The parents caught us, whatever. Going to school on Monday. I think that I am now a popular girl. And they all ignored me. And I was just like, what happened? Like I thought this was it. And someone was like, "Oh no, you know they only had that sleepover because you live in Cam's neighborhood." And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
"Oh my God."
That's kids are cruel, yeah.
That's
Cruel.
brutal.
And so this is like the environment I'm walking into. I have to walk into, I think it was after a spring break. Dad and I had been in the emergency room for 6 hours, all for them to say, "Oh, you're going to want a plastic surgeon to stitch this up, but we can give you a Band-Aid." So they literally put a Band-Aid on my lip in the emergency room. My dad was livid. He was like, "I would have put a Band-Aid on her." And then I had to go. like,
your dad's like, listen.
and I had to go to a plastic surgeon to like really, because it was cosmetically on your face, like they want to make sure those stitches are done really precisely.
yeah.
But I walked in with a lip like this big with like a big old fucking piece of gauze on it. Oh, it was a nightmare. And Edward, my little bro, he did it to me. He knows
How
it.
dare he, Edward?
Sibling.
He's a good kid. He didn't mean it.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
All right, love this question. What are 3 thoughts you have at this exact moment?
I'm kind of hungry.
Okay.
My manager's blowing me up, and I'm hoping that everything's okay. And it's probably nothing. It's probably him being like, "Can you upload this to Dropbox?" And I'll be like, "Okay." And then C, I miss my roommate's dog. It's a split custody dog, and right now the dog's at her dad's, and I really miss the dog. But I also am I don't know. This dog is very special to me, and I'm getting too close.
That's
You're
hard.
tearing up right in front of her.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional. I miss Banks so much. She's my bitch.
That's hard. And what are you most proud of?
I think what I'm proud of, and I want to say this carefully because I don't want to ever diminish what everyone has a different story. And there are a lot of people that have done very well because of the situation they were born into or like the opportunities that they were given off the jump. And there's no watering that down because I think at the end of the day, in order to maintain to hold your ground, you have to have at the root of it all a talent and a drive and whatever. It obviously helps if you have money, if your dad is fucking so-and-so and like that, all of that plays into it. But I do think at the end of the day that talent and hard work will kind of, in terms of longevity, survive it. But that was one thing, like I really, not to say like I come from my family is comfortable, and that's one thing that I've learned a lot. I wish I was more grateful for my upbringing in the moment. I was a pretty shitty 16-year-old and gave my mom and dad a really hard time when in reality, like
Same.
I was living a cushy life. I went to a really nice private school. I got to go to college with no student loan debt. My dad got us cars. Like he does well, but he also worked for every penny that he has, and he doesn't have like bail me out every time money, but I think he has helped me in a couple of tight spots. But for the majority of it, and I really went into Nashville and went into this whole career not knowing anything and having to build it from the ground up and having to, for a long time, manage myself, figure out answers to questions that I didn't know what the question was. Like I was really just trying to figure this out, and it was very much a growing learning experience. I've made so many mistakes. I've done really dumb shit. I've made some terrible music. I've played some terrible shows, but at the end of the day, I can say that everything that I've accomplished now, which I sometimes in the moment you forget like how big of a deal some of these things are, and all of them, I didn't really have, obviously I'm very grateful for the circle that I have now. And there are so many people that have helped propel me and lift me and connect me with people. But at the end of the day, I had to do it all myself. And I think that usually results, I think, in the most gratifying experience from my perspective.
It's rewarding.
Yeah.
Yes. So I can, because I think everyone thought I was crazy. When my college roommates, when I was moving to Nashville, they didn't think I was taking music seriously at all. And they had no reason to think I was. They didn't see me playing shows or putting out music. Like, they were like, you're being dumb. Like, you majored in physics. What are you doing? So, like, I really and my parents didn't have any connections. My family wasn't a music, like, so in the music industry. I literally chose Nashville because I knew 10 people in Nashville. I knew 5 people in LA.
Right.
And so I said, I will go to Nashville.
That's some basic math right there.
Yeah,
Basic
that's
math,
just
simple math.
stats, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I think I can do this. And I went in just guerrilla style, figured it out, and did it. And it's not an easy thing to do. I think we take that for granted when you have that side of your personality. There's so many people that even just explaining that to them, there's like, you were able to move somewhere by yourself? Like, when people are like, you drove to LA by yourself? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God, were you scared? I was like, no, it was dope. I loved it. It was like, that was my favorite part. I had so much growth driving from Nashville to LA. It was a beautiful drive. Yeah.
We did that. It was very transparent. I mean, it was just,
It's beautiful.
you know, you start your journey and then you're there.
And you
you're
cross
there.
through, like, you go through like the Midwest, you go through like desert, you go through snow, you go through all the shit.
I will never forget that first moment the landscape started to change. It was
Oh,
like,
it's amazing.
it's desert now. And I'm like, this is happening.
It's gorgeous. And what I loved about that drive, I didn't have any timeline that I was operating under. I really was I had finally been cleared with my leg, that I wasn't in need of a surgery at any given moment. And all I knew was that I wanted to change the scenery. I didn't know if I'd be in LA for a few weeks, a few months, whatever. I had my friend, I was like, hey, I'm going to Airbnb my apartment for now. I don't know how long I'm going to go to LA, but I'm just going to go. And I drove, and I could, like, I had enough money saved up that I knew my basic stops. But if at any point, like, if I wanted to pull over for a scenic overlook, bitch, I'm pulling over. Like, there was no, if I was like, if I'm tired, I'll pull over in this town and stay at this hotel. Like, there was no like rules or rhyme or reason or deadline to get anywhere specific. I was just trying to enjoy my drive, listen to some good music. I listened to a lot of Brandy Carlisle. I listened to like some great books on like online, whatever, podcasts and everything. And I was like really just going and thinking and figuring out. I was in the first song. I remember like one of the first songs that I wrote when I landed in LA was this song called Hung Up. That was from my Alexa project, but it was one of the gems from it. And it was like, it's almost like I got to LA after that drive and I was able to finally start answering the question of just like, oh, I know how to write the song that I want. Because in Nashville, it was always like my music never lined up with the stuff that I thought was cool or the stuff that I listened to. And then my music sat somewhere over here and it was this weird thing. And I was like, oh, I'm just never going to like my music. And that's just my life. I'm just never going to like it. And then finally in LA, I was just like, oh no, I can like it. And this is how I do it. And I'm still trying to answer that question. I still make shit I hate all the time.
Well, you cross the threshold of like what you listen to versus like what you're actually making. Eventually you get to that place, and it's obviously a journey, but like you get to that thing.
Yeah.
The final question is, what are you most excited for?
I'm most excited and most nervous for, honestly, like it's a double-edged sword. This is going to be the first time ever with my artist stuff that I'm actually going to be able to execute like the visions on like video side and like the visual side, and like you have an idea, you can make it happen. And that comes with also like a bit of I'm not saying I have an unlimited money, like obviously within reason, and we still have to be, I'm not out here going to make $200,000 music videos, but like I have been living for so many years. It's been like, cool, we have this really cool song, we have $0. What do we do? And that has been such a difficult road for so long. And so now, and you can tell yourself like, oh my God, if I only had money, we could do this. If we only had this, outlet, we could do it. And now here are some of those opportunities at my fingertips. And now I get to put my dick where my mouth is.
Yeah.
That's how they say it.
That's how they say it. No. The expression is you put your spaghetti where your mouth is.
Yeah. Put your spaghetti in your
Put
mouth.
your spaghetti in your mouth. And like, it's like, okay, here you are. Here's your moment. And that's also what gives me actually a little bit of anxiety right now, because now I feel
There's no more excuses.
right.
Yeah.
If I don't perform something, if something doesn't do what I wanted it to do, I am the only person I can blame for it. So that's why there's a major shift in my day to day right now. I'm going to be putting a lot more time into conceptualizing and finishing songs. Like, yo, you got to finish songs.
Yeah.
And thinking about like how you want to, the PR and the marketing of all of it, think like the specific brand partnerships that you might want to utilize, and like what kind of the photo shoots and what props and like all the shit. Like I'm going to really be spending more days and more time conceptualizing that, but more importantly, fucking executing it. And that's been my issue for the last few years. Execution is so hard when you have $0.
Yeah.
And the amount, that's why we've been really struggling with like trying to do like video things when you have $0. And I've spent hundreds, thousands arguably of my own money trying to do videos that have never seen the light of Instagram because like they just didn't turn out well from an audio perspective, from an editing perspective. Something happened that it just didn't fucking work. And I'm trying to swallow that. That pill has been bitter and large. And I've been trying to just understand that tonight. It's actually refreshing to hear that you guys go through similar struggles of having to just bury things that you've been working on. And it's so hard to deal with that sometimes.
Well, and also when it comes to videos, like, because like I come from film, I have always been really like, if we don't do this perfect, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like that's been really hard because I think every song that we've had, I've had an idea for.
Yeah. There've been good ideas for videos that we just haven't been able to do.
Execute.
And that's what I have now. Like I have started a note, really being able to specifically outline, what do I see pictures? What do I see videos? What do I see drawing? What would I see animation wise? Where would I want to try to, what platforms would I want to try to put this on? Do I want my face on a pink Red Bull can? Yes. Like all of those things. Like trying to figure out, answer those, because the thing is, the key to this year and the success of it is going to be how as specific as I can be. That's what I need. I need to go, the goal needs to be this, and it cannot be this. It needs to be this every time, and that's a very difficult thing to do. I'm not
especially
saying,
when you have a bunch of ideas. Like
Yes.
for me, I have a very hard time focusing on stuff because I'm like all ideas and no execution. Like I'm very much like, I have an idea, I get really excited about it, I tell everybody about it,
Right.
and then I get another idea, and I
forget about that old
forget about
idea.
the other idea.
I also just realized they can't see it. When I said this,
Oh, she meant she made like a narrow
pie.
path versus a wide path.
versus the wide.
Yeah.
It's the focused narrow path, the pie.
Well, we're really excited for what's coming, and
Thank you. I am
we've been
too.
jamming to your stuff.
Yay.
Like I don't know. I just think you've got a really good heart for this, and I think that like
Aw.
there's a lot of good stuff coming because of it. So we'll just keep us posted on everything.
Thank you.
And
I'm blushing.
Thank you for talking to us.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so fun. I love talk. This is great. This is so fun.
Stockholm's a ghost town now. Sober, Stockholm's a ghost town now.
We would like to thank Isotope for their early support of Talking Lion.